Chapter 4408. Wei Rong was distressed. It's very difficult. This isn't a question of whether or not I can find a breakthrough. It's just that the difference between me and Red Hero is too great. I can't understand his thoughts. Consider it from the perspective of an ordinary person, Lu Yin said directly. Wei Rong shrugged. He is the only breakthrough. He is our breakthrough point in dealing with Red Hero, and it can also be our breakthrough point in dealing with the mastermind behind the scenes. This is because the mastermind must also be looking for He. We can use He to fish it out, provided that we cooperate with Red Hero. Lu Yin listened calmly. Was he going to work with Red Hero to uncover the mastermind behind the scenes? Master Lu, please don't misunderstand. I'm not talking about cooperating with Red Hero to fish out the culprit behind the scenes. Rather, I'm talking about letting out news that we're cooperating with Red Hero to fish out the culprit behind the scenes, Wei Rong said. Lu Yin raised an eyebrow and looked at Wei Rong. Are you planning on probing the mastermind behind the scenes? Wei Rong nodded. He had thought of this as well, but he didn't have enough power to do so. Just working with Red Hero wasn't enough to fish out the mastermind behind the scenes. Wei Rong continued, of course, everything we're thinking about right now is based on the fact that we need to find He in order to deal with Red Hero. But what if we overturn this assumption and regain the initiative? Lu Yin's eyes lit up. How do I take the initiative? This was what he needed, to turn passivity into initiative. Otherwise, he would always be led by the nose. In the end, even if Red Hero was taken care of, it was still unknown whether the man behind the scenes would attack the human civilization. Whether it was Red Hero or the man behind the scenes, neither of them could be a threat. Red Hero has 120% of the merciless Tao. Master Lu, you've said this before. Although I don't understand realms, I can still count. As long as I break through 70% of the merciless Tao, it'll be fine. The river has been hidden. Red Hero definitely won't let him be found, so he'll have to find a new sustenance to destroy. For example, yield. Yield? Lu Yin was astonished. Wei Rong nodded. I don't know if it's possible. Over the years, I've asked Ba Yongxing and Elder Qiu to try it out. At the very least, at Elder Qiu's level, the way of the heartless can be broken by past experience. Then, if it's the Red Hero who can also be broken, that means that even if He is hidden, we can still break through 70% of his way of the heartless. If I can think of this, then the person behind the scenes who has been plotting against Red Hero for countless years must have thought of this as well. I think it's very difficult, or even impossible, but the person behind the scenes might be able to do it. Lu Yin was shocked. Ba Yu and Elder Qiu are cooperating with you. Wei Rong smiled. They're all very cooperative. Lu Yin looked at the sect's main hall in the sky, where Ba Yu and Qiu Lao were seated. It turned out that they were here because of Wei Rong. When he returned, he found it strange that Ba Yu was here. How did you try it? Wei Rong drank a mouthful of tea and spoke of his experiments over the years. The experiment was very simple. First, find Ba Yu and ask her to provide Qiu Lao's past experiences, especially the ones that left a deep impression on him and that he thought he had let go of. Then, repeat these experiences and see Qiu Lao's reaction. Elder Qiu was a cultivator of the path of emotionlessness. He had reached the level of crossing the bitter disaster. If he was still affected by these experiences, it meant that the path of emotionlessness was not completely emotionless. From beginning to end, Qiu Lao was very passive. He didn't try it willingly. But with Ba Yu's help, it didn't matter whether he was willing or not. Elder Qiu had been brought over by Lu Yin from the underworld Red Coat civilization. He had thought that he had left the underworld Red Coat civilization, but he had not expected to encounter such a situation in the Triverse universe. His feelings were very complicated now. He did not know who to blame, nor did he dare to blame anyone. The strangest thing was why Ba Yu was helping Wei Rong. Ba Yu sat on the chair with a calm expression. Help Wei Rong. She did not want to, but she had heard many rumors over the years that she had been in the Triverse universe. Some of them were related to Wang Wen and Wei Rong, especially Wei Rong. No matter who you offended, you should never offend him. Otherwise, you wouldn't even know if he sold you off. Many of Wei Rong's actions were similar to that of a lunatic, and in most cases, he was just like a lunatic. He was not very useful, but when he used his actions, he would win by surprise and bring about an inconceivable reversal. His actions had already helped Lu Yin many times. This was why Ba Yu was willing to help him. Furthermore, Wei Rong had promised that Elder Chiu would be rewarded for this experiment. Wei Rong's words carried a lot of weight. After hearing Wei Rong's words, Lu Yin looked at Elder Chiu sympathetically. Even though he had not seen the entire process, Lu Yin could tell from Elder Chiu's expression that he had not been in a good mood. This old man had helped Lu Yin look through the various family histories in the underworld Red Coat civilization, and now, he was helping Wei Rong. So, based on Elder Chiu's experience, you speculated that the mastermind behind the scenes would use Red Hero's 12 merciless Tao to leave behind a backup plan. Wei Rong was solemn. 12 merciless Taos. 4 of them cannot be changed, and 4 of them have already been broken. The remaining 4 are Turbid Treasure, West Upper Peak, Ji He, and Jiangyu. We once believed that forgiving Jiangyu and letting go of our hatred could not be changed. We thought this way, and so did Red Hero. In that case, will the mastermind behind the scenes use this idea to do the opposite and find an opportunity? As long as there is even the slightest possibility, it will be grasped by the mastermind behind the scenes. It has been far too long, and it's not something that we can compare to. Think about it. If the mastermind really wants to use this to scheme against Red Hero, then what it needs to do is to make Red Hero recall his past hatred. Only then will he be able to break this merciless Tao. Lu Yin's gaze deepened. What you're saying is that in the red shirt civilization below the stars, somewhere that Red Hero will definitely be able to see, there might be an experience that could appear at any time. This experience is exactly the same as the hatred that Jiangyu brought to Red Hero. Using this experience to reappear in the past and break Red Hero's merciless Tao. Wei Rong replied, "This is just my guess, but I feel that it is possible. Of course, my cultivation is too low, so this might not be possible." Lu Yin stood up and stared at the sky. Whether or not it could be realized did not depend on him, but on the mastermind behind the scenes. The mastermind behind the scenes had schemed against Red Hero for many years, and he knew Red Hero like the back of his hand. It might not be impossible. If that was the case, then even if they did not find Ji He, they might still be able to break through the 7 merciless Tao. This was what the mastermind behind the scenes hoped for. Using this experience to break Red Hero's 7 merciless Tao, it would allow Red Hero to fight against the 3 universes to the death. Both sides would suffer great losses, and in the end, the mastermind would be able to reap the benefits. This was a true scheme, one that had been set up since ancient times. There was no need to plan every step, but one could control the general direction and control a key that could definitely break through the situation. That was enough. This possibility was not great, but it still existed. After a while, Lu Yin said, "Your guess is very good. Thank you for your hard work." Wei Rong stood up and bowed to Lu Yin. This subordinate hopes to share Master Lu's worries. There is no need to thank me. Not long after, Lu Yin headed to the Red Shirt civilization and appeared in front of Jiu Wen. "Senior, are you aware of the grudge between Rongyu and Red Hero?" Jiu Wen shook his head. "I've said it before. I was just a cultivator with some talent at the end of the 9th base era, and I was lucky enough to see the Red Lotus tomb. I was also recognized by Red Hero, and in the current red shirt civilization, I helped Red Hero build a blood tower and turned myself into someone like Rangyu. However, I am not clear about the past between Red Hero and Rangyu. Is there anything special about Red Hero? Or is there someone or something that you care about? Lu Yin asked. Jiu Wen did not understand. Why are you asking this? Lu Yin replied, there are some guesses that need to be confirmed. Jiu Wen thought about it. Red Hero is in seclusion all year round. Besides cultivating the merciless Tao and interacting with Yi Shao and the others, there is nothing else. I can't think of anything at the moment, so you can ask Yi Shao and the others. Lu Yin had almost forgotten about them. They were all Red Hero's disciples, so they might have some clues. When he thought of this, he immediately looked at Shi Shangfeng. Shi Shangfeng and Lu Yin looked at each other. It's hard to think of anything at the moment. Jiu Wen looked at him. Think about it more. Shi Shangfeng looked at Jiu Wen, then at Lu Yin, and nodded. Lu Yin left and went to look for Red Hero's disciples who had been captured, hoping that He Shao was still alive. He did not expect that there would be a time when he could use those people. In the ninth firmament universe, the streets of the bustling city were full of hawkers. Occasionally, there would be cultivators flying past. It was extremely prosperous. But even so, it could not hide the darkness and filth. At the corner of the street, a group of people were beating a figure curled up in the corner. Not only did the figure not cry out in pain, but he also laughed wildly. Sometimes he was crazy, and sometimes he was angry. He allowed the group to beat him up for a full hour until the group was tired. Then, he got up and ran, laughing. Lunatic, this lunatic. He's really resistant to beatings. I told you, this lunatic is definitely not a normal person. Maybe he used to be a cultivator. Even if he was a cultivator, he shouldn't be so resistant to beatings. We've been beating him for an hour, and his skin is not even broken. It's impossible. Wait, I'll find someone. Hey, who else are you looking for? My brother-in-law is back. He's a cultivator. Let him try. Great, go and ask your brother-in-law to come. We'll block this lunatic here. In the corner, the lunatic kept running, but the exit was blocked. He did not know how to turn, so he could only run back and forth like a headless fly. Soon, a young man with a proud face came. He carried a long sword on his back and had an extraordinary aura. Everyone hurriedly bowed when they saw him. Brother-in-law, it's him. This lunatic is too resistant to beatings. We've been beating him for a long time, but he's not injured at all. The young man looked at the man who was laughing crazily and frowned slightly. He's just a lunatic. Is it worth calling me here? As he spoke, he waved his hand. The air was clearly distorted, and a wave of air swept past everyone. Those who were close to him had their faces cut, and a drop of blood followed the wave of air and bombarded the lunatic's body. The surrounding people were shocked. They hurriedly retreated and looked at the young man in fear. This was a cultivator. A casual wave of his hand was so powerful, sharper than blacksmith Wang's knife. The young man was disdainful. They were just a group of mortals who had not seen the world. He glanced at the lunatic. He should be dead. The lunatic was smashed into the wall by the wave of air. He slowly fell, attracting everyone's attention. Then, he laughed again. Why did you harm me? You should help me, all of you should help me. Ha 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 ha, it's all your fault. Ha ha ha. Everyone was stunned. Even a cultivator was useless. Chapter 4409. The young man couldn't keep his face any longer. He sneered, you really can take a beating. Then let me see how well you can take a beating. With that, he waved his hand again. His palm twisted the air and produced a visible palm print. It was clearly a battle skill. The palm landed on the madman's back, and the madman was smashed into the wall again. This time, the wall was smashed, attracting the attention of the city guards. However, they dared not approach when they saw that it was a cultivator. The young man stared at the madman. He stood up again and ran into the distance on the rocks. He constantly laughed as if he was mocking the young man. The surrounding people were stunned. This madman was too tough. The young man's gaze turned cold. He raised his finger, and a blade appeared in his hand. He slashed out, and the blade light cut through the air and landed on the madman. The expected cleaving did not happen. The blade seemed to be even weaker than the palm strike. It only made the madman stagger a little. Impossible. The young man took a step forward, rising high into the air. Just as he was about to slash down, he suddenly paused and stabbed his saber into the ground. Turning his head, he saw an old man. Looking past the old man, he saw many pairs of eyes looking at him. These eyes were all filled with dignity, and each of them was much more powerful than him. His face paled, and he bowed in a hurry. "Junior. There's no need for introductions. You must be a disciple of the martial blade school. Go back. There's nothing for you here." The old man spoke in an irrefutable tone. The young man did not say anything and directly left. He recognized one of them. That was an existence that even their sect master could not afford to offend. Why was he here? That person was standing at the back. Only now did he realize why he felt a chill when he drew his blade. It was because of these people's gazes. Why were these old monsters here? The young man left. The group that beat up the madman. The crowd immediately dispersed. The city guards knew that the situation was serious, so they dispersed the onlookers. Everything was normal. The old man looked at the madman running away and stroked his beard. "This person has a great background. Even we can't injure him, let alone a junior from the martial blade school. This madman has been discovered by us by accident for many years. We can't injure him no matter what we do. According to our estimates, he might have reached the primordial realm. I think it might be even higher. Passing calamity. That's not very likely. Experts who passed calamity are all famous. It said that the above heaven sect combined the three universes to compile a list of experts. This person shouldn't have been left out. Strange, strange. Someone is approaching again. There's no need to disturb him. We'll just watch. This madman definitely has his past. Who knows, it might implicate someone." That's true. They retracted their auras and stared at each other from a distance, thinking that they were being very secretive. However, Lu Yin knew their whereabouts better than they did. Lu Yin's appearance had blurred out his appearance. Although they could see him clearly, they didn't care much about it, so they couldn't recognize him. In the distance, Lu Yin looked at the madman in front of him. It had been more than 400 years since he had tossed Jiang Lu and the others into the hell of a pointing platform to increase their karma. During those 400 years, the parallel order had always been like that. He had traveled everywhere in the continent of the 9 clouds. Although he was no longer in the eternal life realm, he had still reached the eternal life realm. In particular, he had cultivated the art of extreme agony, so his physical defense was extremely strong. Even if he went crazy, without any fighting strength, ordinary experts who had crossed the bitter disaster realm would not be able to injure him. "Long time no see," Lu Yin said slowly, his gaze calm. He was muddle-headed, constantly shouting something, sometimes laughing, sometimes crying, and most of his words were blaming someone. Such a person was selfish. Even if he had gone crazy, he would still act this way. He didn't deserve any sympathy, and he still didn't feel that he had done anything wrong. He only felt that his family should do something for him. Lu Yin's karma spiraled around his fingertips, and he then struck at the parallel order. He looked at the past karma, and he focused on the karma that had led to Red Hero's contact. Back when he had used karma to spy on the Startoad tribe, Patriarch Shan had sensed it, which had made Lu Yin somewhat apprehensive. However, Red Hero's realm was not as high as Patriarch Shan's, and the Red Hero's civilization was further away from the 3 universes than the 7 treasures heaven's Toad tribe. Jiang Lu Yin ran off again, and Lu Yin looked at his retreating figure. His karma continued to penetrate Jiang Lu, trying to find some clues. Days passed, and in the blink of an eye, more than a month had passed. During this time, Lu Yin had been looking at Jiang Lu's karma, but he couldn't find any clues. Before looking for Jiang Lu, he had already looked for the beauty pill. She was the only one of the 3 who had entered the hell of a pointing platform and had not gone crazy. Lu Yin wanted to use her to find clues and then use karma to continue his search. However, just like Shi Shangfeng, the beauty pill couldn't think of anything. Time to continue. Another few days passed, and Lu Yin was sitting in a restaurant when an old man walked over. He looked at Lu Yin and said, "Sir, you've been watching that madman for some time now. Have you noticed anything?" Lu Yin took a sip of tea. "No." The old man sized up Lu Yin, and the more he looked, the stranger he felt. This person's appearance was very clear, but why did he seem so ordinary? Ordinary, but not ordinary. This person had clearly been following that madman for more than a month. Logically speaking, they should have asked him long ago, but there seemed to be a strange thought that was controlling them, preventing them from paying attention to him. Today, the old man suddenly realized that something was amiss, and he had specially come to look for Lu Yin. He was very polite. "May I know your name? Are you an old acquaintance?" "No," Lu Yin answered calmly. The old man wasn't angry. "Can I sit?" Lu Yin looked at the madman running in the distance. "Up to you." "Thank you." The old man sat down and was about to speak when he saw that Lu Yin had already disappeared. The old man suddenly looked into the distance. That madman was gone as well. Where did he go? In the next moment, numerous figures rushed into the restaurant, and the restaurant immediately became noisy. In the Heaven Origin universe, Beauty Dan looked at the muddle-headed parallel order and felt pity for him. Although she had also fallen to the eternal realm and felt bad, she hadn't gone crazy. With her previous cultivation, no one dared to provoke her. "Watch him," Lu Yin said, and then went to find Ba Yu. Ba Yu was in the sect's main hall in the sky and hadn't left yet. Lu Yin's appearance gave them a shock. Elder Chiu hurriedly bowed. Lu Yin looked at Ba Yu. "Where is he, Xiao? He's not dead, right?" Ba Yu frowned. "Why are you asking about him?" "It's useful." Ba Yu hesitated. "He's not dead, but that's good. Bring me to him." Lu Yin disappeared with Ba Yu. Elder Chiu didn't say anything from the beginning to the end. He actually wanted to get close to Lu Yin. After all, the two had been together for a while in the Red Coat civilization. At that time, he didn't know that this person was so powerful that he could defeat Parallel Order. That was Parallel Order's honor. This person's opponent was the hero ancestor. Unfortunately, he didn't get to say much. He Xiao was much more miserable than Parallel Order. Back when he came out of the general appointment platform hell, he was even more miserable than Parallel Order. Parallel Order went crazy and blamed his family. He was tormented by the memories of the women he had hurt. Day by day, he was tormented by the madness. Ba Yu was also tormenting him. Seeing that he only had one breath left, He Xiao was taken away by Lu Yin. Ba Yu's gaze was complicated. She didn't ask why Lu Yin took him away. Actually, she hadn't tortured this person for a while. It seemed like she had let go. Parallel Order went crazy. He Xiao was even crazier and more miserable than him. Beauty Dan looked at them and felt sad. After all, they were once eternal realm powerhouses, but they ended up like this. Did you remember anything? Lu Yin looked at Beauty Dan and asked. He could only ask her. Beauty Dan nodded. I thought of something these days. I found it strange back then. I asked the hero ancestor but didn't get a response. I don't know if it's what you want to know. Speak. There's a region in the red coats under the stars called the red dust. That region has a unique culture. It's a kind of chivalrous culture that no one understands. People there can be poor or weak, but they can never lose their chivalrous heart. Many people die for chivalry, as if they've been pursuing a certain style of doing things their entire lives. This style is chivalrous. I've been to that place before, and I can't understand it. Everyone should cultivate and fight for opportunities, but there, at least on the surface, there's modesty. The more modest a person is, the more they are respected. Even if that person isn't strong, no one dares to offend them. Sometimes, the grudges of some powerhouses even need to be judged by those people. To be honest, I don't understand. The reason I thought of that region was because of the words red dust. These two words are very special in the red coats under the stars, and it attracted my attention. Secondly, the people in that region don't cultivate the path of ruthlessness and don't even know about the red coats under the stars. This is impossible in our civilization, so I went there and saw the hero ancestor. The hero ancestor. The hero ancestor has been there more than once, but he stopped me from continuing my investigation. I'm guessing that the reason why that region is able to maintain its uniqueness is related to the hero ancestor. Otherwise, any random cultivator would be able to change that region. Lu Yin fell into deep thought. Hero ancestor. That really fits the name Red Hero. That was all that the beauty pill knew about the red dust region, as Red Hero's obstruction had prevented her from learning more about it. Lu Yin used his karma to check He Xiao's history and the parallel karma, but there was no information about the red dust region in the parallel karma. However, He Xiao's karma did. This He Xiao had deliberately walked around the red dust region and even fell in love with a girl. In the end, that girl had met a tragic end, but through this karma, Lu Yin was able to see the red dust region. The region was not small, and mortals would not be able to walk out of it for the rest of their lives. However, to the people there, the red dust was their entire world. No cultivator could enter the red dust region, and He Xiao was an exception. He was the hero ancestor's disciple, but he had not stayed in the red dust region for long before leaving with that girl. This was a place that Red Hero cared so much about, but even Senior Jiu Wen did not know about it. Only 2 disciples knew about it. Lu Yin went to Red Clothes Beneath the Stars and mentioned the red dust region to Jiu Wen. Jiu Wen still did not understand. The West Upper Peak did not know either. No matter what, he should take a look at the red dust region. He teleported away and then teleported back to Red Clothes Beneath the Stars. This time, Lu Yin appeared outside the red dust region. The red dust region was right in front of him, and he took a look. The people there were clearly different from those in the outside world, especially the chivalrous culture that filled the region with a clamor. He teleported in and checked the region's history. The chivalrous culture had been prevalent here for a very long time, and it could be said that the history had been broken several times. Of course, this had nothing to do with the outside world, and it was purely due to the conflicts between the people here that had caused much of the history to be broken. Even though the history had been broken, the chivalrous culture had not, and it continued to play out in this land. Chapter 44:10. Chivalry gave many people a chivalrous heart to help the weak, but it also made many people pretend to be chivalrous on the surface while secretly doing evil things. It was no wonder that the beauty Dan could not understand this culture. There were no eternal realms here, and everyone could only live for a few hundred years at most. Once their lifespan was up, they would die. Thus, the meaning of fighting was not as great as in the cultivation world. There was no such thing as eternal life, and people's desires would not grow infinitely. Red Hero had actually hidden this place for so long that no one knew about it. Even if his voice had spread throughout the red specters beneath the stars, this place should have been blocked. This was a completely different world. Could this be related to Red Hero's past? The possibility was very high. Lu Yin sat cross-legged outside of the red dust world, watching quietly from afar. If this was the method used by the mastermind to break Red Hero's ruthless path, then it would be very difficult to find any clues. Otherwise, Red Hero would have noticed the problem long ago. This was a unique culture that had developed over countless years. How could this person provoke Red Hero's hatred for Jiang Yu? Or was this a place that Red Hero had created himself to reminisce about the past? Time slowly passed, and in the blink of an eye, 3 years had passed. During these 3 years, Lu Yin had not seen anything out of the ordinary. Actually, it was impossible for him to see anything out of the ordinary. After such a long time, if this was a setup, then it would not be easy to see the problem. If this was not a setup, then there would not be any problems. However, he did not know how long he would have to wait. After thinking about it, he decided that he could only force Red Hero's hand. He teleported away from the red specters beneath the stars and then turned back to appear in outer space. His voice spread throughout the red specters universe. Red Hero, come out. In front of him, a figure walked out and calmly looked at Lu Yin. Lu Yin looked at Red Hero with a fearful expression. Tai Ching. It was a simple 2 words. These 2 words caused Red Hero's expression to change, and he stared at Lu Yin. Lu Yin's eyes narrowed. It looks like I guessed right. You are related to Tai Ching. Red Hero's tone was low. I don't understand what you're saying. Lu Yin said, back then, when the unknown started a forced war with Miao Zun and the other civilizations, Miao Zun fought you. You used your sourcebox array to completely trap him and make him unable to move. Miao Zun is an eternal being comparable to Lan Mei, and your strength surpasses his, but you should not have been able to suppress him so easily with your sourcebox array. After all, your sourcebox array. Red Hero's eyes flashed. Miao Zun is indeed in your hands. Lu Yin did not refute. Red Hero replied, but it's a bit far-fetched to say that I'm related to the Clear One just based on this. I don't know if the Clear One sourcebox array exists. Have you forgotten that you were the one who sealed away Sky Bulletin? The Clear One was one of the civilizations that attacked Ninth Rampart, so it's normal for them to have a few sourcebox arrays on the battlefield. I'm curious. You seem to know the Grand Pure One better than I thought. Of course, Lu Yin did not know much about Tai Ching, but he had to pretend that he did. He looked at Red Hero. Xianling, I don't know. Tai Ching, how much more are you hiding? It wasn't that simple to betray Ninth Base, was it? There were so many civilizations that attacked Ninth Base. Who else did you contact? Red Hero, what are you trying to do? Red Hero frowned, as Lu Yin's thoughts were too complicated. Just as he was about to speak, Lu Yin barked, are you still thinking of joining forces with the Grand Pure One and the other civilizations to destroy our 3 universes? Red Hero's eyes flashed, but he didn't deny it. This kid's attitude had been shaken. He was no longer as determined to deal with him as before. Is too scrupulous. Ching. No, he was worried about the deep darkness behind him. Through Xianling and the Grand Pure One, he did not know what was behind him. Thinking of this, he sneered, you're lucky that the Grand Pure One will protect you for 2,000 years. Lu Yin clenched his fists, you're also a human. What good will it do you if the human race is destroyed within an inch of space? Red Hero did not care, it's just the 3 universes. Do you think you're the only human civilization within an inch of space? No matter what, the red coats under the stars can still be preserved. Go and ask them if they're willing to die as a human civilization or live as a descendant of me, Red Hero. Kid, backbone is built on the foundation of being alive. If you die, you'll lose your backbone. Lu Yin's eyes flashed, and his expression was ugly as he stared at Red Hero. Red Hero's eyes were cold. If you really want the three universes to be buried with you, then continue. Let's see who can protect you 2,000 years later. Lu Yin took a deep breath and slowly closed his eyes. He teleported and disappeared in front of Red Hero. When he reappeared, he was already in front of the Blood Tower and bowed deeply to Jiu Wen. Jiu Wen had heard the conversation just now. Looking at Lu Yin bowing, his face was pale. You want to give up? Lu Yin's body trembled. I'm sorry, Senior. I can't take the risk and risk the lives of countless people in the three universes. The immortal plume attack caused the three universes to suffer heavy losses. It wasn't easy to get to this point. I really can't risk it anymore. Jiu Wen smiled bitterly, and his eyes were gloomy as he looked into the distance. All my schemes are ruined in one day. I shouldn't have put all the burden on you. I didn't think it through. I'm sorry, Senior. I'm sorry. Lu Yin could only apologize. Jiu Wen shook his head. Forget it, forget it. This is fate. There's nothing I can do about it. As he spoke, he spat out a mouthful of blood. Come with me, Senior. It's meaningless. No need. I belong here. Nothing will happen to me. You've already given up. I'm willing to exchange for Song Tong's beach field. Lu Yin wanted to say something, but in the end, he could only apologize again. His words were filled with helplessness and unwillingness. In the distance, Red Hero's eyes narrowed. Had this person really given up on dealing with him? Lu Yin suddenly turned around and looked at Red Hero, his gaze cold. From now on, the three universes will not be your enemy. I hope you know what you're doing and don't harm the human civilization. Otherwise, even if I have to risk my life, I'll drag you into the abyss. As he finished speaking, he teleported and disappeared. Red Hero watched Lu Yin leave and heaved a sigh of relief. He wasn't afraid of Lu Yin, but it was uncomfortable to have such a civilization constantly watching and scheming against him. Moreover, there was a mastermind behind all of this. If he had known that this person would give up on dealing with him because of Tai Ching, he would have brought out the Tai Ching civilization long ago. Now that he Xiao and the others were crippled, they were useless. If he wanted to recover completely, he had to find the heartless path. Thinking of this, killing intent flashed in Red Hero's eyes, threatening him. When he recovered, he would definitely not let them off. He looked at Jiu Wen and asked. Jiu Wen seemed to have aged 10 years. He sat cross-legged with his eyes closed. You don't have a chance anymore. That Qing Lian and the immortal plume sealed themselves. Do you think you can deal with me? Now that you've come out, I can let bygones be bygones, Red Hero said. Shi Shangfeng looked at Jiu Wen. Jiu Wen slowly opened his mouth and was filled with lethargy. It was Qing Lian and I who were dealing with you from the beginning. That child is still too young and shouldered too much pressure. I don't blame him. Red Hero, even if I die, I will wear you down. He looked up with a cold gaze. Don't forget that all of us swore to betray the red coats under the stars. The red coats under the stars will not rest until you are dead. Even if you escape to the edge of the world, the edge of the universe, even if time passes, even if life doesn't exist, we will hunt you down forever and use your corpse as a sacrifice to our ancestors. Red Hero frowned. Stupid. That kid is the smart one. He knows that I have Tai Ching behind me. With Tai Ching's strength, he can destroy 3 universes. With Xianling, who has a grudge against them, how can they resist? Do you want the human civilization to be completely destroyed because of your ridiculous persistence? Jiuwen laughed. Life and death are predestined. I, Jiuwen, have never thought of having a good ending. You will drag the human civilization down with you. Then start over. Lives are lost, but legacies are not lost. The human civilization lives with a backbone and dies with a will. One day, we will take care of you. Red Hero was furious and turned to leave. Unreasonable. He would not believe Lu Yin directly, but he could not understand the meaning of Lu Yin's actions. No matter what, time would tell him the answer. Inside the Blood Tower, Shi Shangfeng looked at Jiuwen. Hero ancestor is indeed undefeatable. Jiuwen closed his eyes tiredly and did not speak anymore. Time passed, 1 year, 2 years, 10 years. Lu Yin did not come again. Red Hero kept an eye on the Blood Tower, but Lu Yin did not come once in 10 years. Of course, 10 years was a short period of time. It passed in the blink of an eye and did not mean anything. If Lu Yin did not come here for 1,000 or 10,000 years, he would believe that Lu Yin had really given up on dealing with him. 10 years was nothing to an eternal realm expert. But for mortals, it was enough for a generation to grow up. Under the stars, in the universe of Red, a young man rose up in the mortal world. This young man was righteous and chivalrous. He could point his sword at the world for injustice, but he could also shed his blood for his country. His name was Bai Xia, and because of his chivalry, everyone called him Bai Xia. In this era of chivalry, Bai Xia became the idol of a generation. Everyone trusted him. His words became the benchmark of chivalry. What he did became the goal of everyone. His goal was the goal of this era. His growth was unbelievable. In just 10 years, he had reached this step. 10 years ago, he was only an 8-year-old child. Although it was not the world of cultivation, 18 years old was still very young even among mortals. But Bai Xia had achieved a realm that countless people dared not even dream of. He was invincible among mortals, and his prestige shook the heavens. It seemed that this era should be called Bai Xia. Time continued to pass, and Bai Xia's reputation was like the sun in the sky. He replaced all the legends in the mortal world. Even people from hostile countries praised him. His magnanimity had convinced everyone. 9 years passed just like that. 19 years had passed since Lu Yin had left the Red civilization. This year, Bai Xia was 27 years old. He was at the peak of his life, and the leaders of the various powers in the mortal world had elected him as their leader. His words were enough to define the word of chivalrous. He had also met the love of his life. Under the envious and blessed gazes of countless people, he knelt down and kowtowed to his parents as he entered the second phase of his life. But on this day, the Northern Hero also encountered the greatest change in his life. His true love, his parents, both died tragically on the night of his wedding night. Fresh blood flowed down the door, stunning the guests who had been drinking and chatting. The door opened, revealing a scene that drove him mad. He saw a pair of eyes filled with cunning, mockery, and bloodthirst. Chapter 44:11. The moment this scene happened, the entire Red Coat universe rumbled. Thunder exploded and countless people fainted. The world was red as if the universe was roaring. Damn it, damn it. A huge roar spread throughout the starry sky, followed by heavy breathing. It was suppressed to the extreme, causing the entire universe to be suppressed. Countless stars trembled. In the Blood Tower, Jiuwen was shocked. He looked up. What was this? Jiuwen, it's your turn. Take the turbid treasure of the Blood Tower and die with the West Upper Peak. I've broken the merciless path that he forgave me. You guys are the only ones left. A voice entered Jiuwen's ears. Jiuwen looked around, and his expression changed drastically. It's you. You're here. There's not much time left. If you break another 20% of his merciless path, his strength will completely decline. Isn't this what you've always wanted to do? Lu Yin is too young, and his will is not strong enough. Now that you've broken 70% of his merciless path, this person will definitely be able to deal with him. He and Red Hero are both unknowns. They won't make a move. Even so, he will never be able to recover after breaking 70% of his merciless path. We'll leave it to Lu Yin to deal with him in the future. This person can kill Xian Ling, who conforms to the laws of two universes, alone. It won't be a problem for him to kill a heavily injured Red Hero. Break his merciless path quickly. Jiu Wen's eyes flickered. Why are you doing this? There's no time. You're the one who's running out of time. Jiu Wen shouted and stepped out of the blood tower. In his palm, the broken wine gourd reappeared. Moon in the wine, sky in the pot. A drop of wine landed in the starry sky, causing ripples. In the blink of an eye, it covered the red coat universe below the stars. Then, it quickly swept past the starry sky and spread into the distance. Jiu Wen suddenly stared in a direction. There. He used wine as a sword, and the sky and the pot as a shield. The umbrella opened up another merciless world. The red blade entered the umbrella, and the heartless sorrow became a sword. With a whoosh, the starry sky of the universe split into two and tore apart the starry sky. However, it suddenly stopped in a certain place and let out a loud sound as if it had collided with something. The surging power seemed to collapse as it pressed down on the entire red coat universe below the stars. Countless people were shocked as if they saw the universe turn upside down. The next moment, a shield appeared in front of Jiu Wen. Mao. Far away, at a distance of 50 years away from the red coat universe under the stars, Lu Yin had been keeping an eye on it. 19 years ago, he hadn't returned to the three universes at all. He had been keeping an eye on the mortal zones. He had deliberately given up on dealing with Red Hero in order to force the mastermind behind the scenes to speed up its progress. The mastermind had been plotting for so long just to deal with Red Hero. Now that it had reached this point, how could it allow Wei Rong to give up? If it was as Wei Rong had guessed, it would definitely take action. As expected, something had happened in the mortal realm. Bai Xiao's rise had been too sudden, and everything had gone too smoothly. It was as if the entire mortal realm was cooperating with him. After 19 years of observation, Lu Yin was certain that it wasn't controlled by someone, but rather a guide. A long time ago, someone had created a way of doing things that would definitely shine in the chivalrous culture of the mortal world. No matter who it was, they would be Bai Xia. Bai Xiao's rise was very sudden. He was like the son of heaven, but he met with disaster on his wedding day. That kind of disaster was not something that anyone could accept. That night, both Lu Yin and Red Hero had seen it, and it had caused him to recall his own past. He had forcibly recalled the painful, suffocating feeling of extreme hatred. It had broken through the merciless Tao of forgiveness. Lu Yin had been waiting for this moment, and he had also been waiting for Mao to appear. He hadn't planned anything with Jiu Wen, as he definitely wouldn't be able to hide anything from Red Hero. However, Jiu Wen understood Lu Yin too well, and he knew that Lu Yin wasn't someone who would give up so easily. When he saw Red Hero's merciless Tao being broken, Jiu Wen immediately understood Lu Yin's intentions. It was all to uncover the mastermind behind the scenes. This mastermind had been targeting Red Hero all this time, but it was hard to say whether or not it would also target the human civilization. Lu Yin would rather fight openly than be used. As for Red Hero, with the unknown pressuring her, none of them would be able to touch her for the next 2,000 years. Jiu Wen wasn't afraid that Red Hero would act against him. Thus, the only one who didn't have time was the mastermind behind the scenes, not them. Whether or not the turbid treasure in the Blood Tower and the West Upper Peak would be destroyed depended on Jiao Wen, not Red Hero. This sort of simple coercion wasn't difficult to see through, and even Red Hero didn't believe it. However, the mastermind behind the scenes didn't dare to gamble. Countless years of planning had been for this moment, and if Lu Ying truly gave up, then it would completely fail. The moment Air Mao was forced out, the initiative changed hands. An oppressive red filled the sky, and Red Hero slowly walked out. His eyes were filled with killing intent as he stared at the shield. So, it was you. Lu Ying also teleported to Jiao Wen's side and looked at the shield. I didn't expect you to be the one scheming against Red Hero, Air Mao. Jiao Wen was even more surprised that it was actually a shield. Air Mao floated in outer space and said in a low voice, "Humans are really pitiful. Instead of dealing with the traitors of their own civilization, they help them deal with me. How pitiful. It's no wonder that ninth base was defeated." "Why?" Red Hero shouted. Another portion of the path of ruthlessness had been broken, and this portion of the path of ruthlessness had been broken by Taisai. In outer space. He had discovered the mortal zone a long time ago. At the time, he had been surprised that this mortal zone had been preserved even after the second stronghold had been destroyed. However, after observing it for a long time, he discovered that there was nothing wrong with this mortal zone. Although it was very similar to the place where he had been born, it wasn't the same place. Since such a place had appeared in the second stronghold, it wasn't surprising that this universe had appeared as well. Since it was very similar to the place where he had been born, and even the chivalrous culture was similar, he would occasionally walk through this land. At first, he was cautious and would only walk through it occasionally to reminisce about the past. He cultivated the true path of ruthlessness. He could be ruthless, but there were right and wrong. It was just that he had chosen the wrong side. However, this path of ruthlessness did not mean that he had completely forgotten the past. He still reminisced about it. Otherwise, he would not have been able to deceive Hong Shuang. His initial caution slowly disappeared with the passage of time. A long time later, he did not know when, but he started to confuse this mortal zone with the place where he had been born. He thought that they were the same place, but it did not matter. He did not expect that someone would spend such a long time just to plot an opportunity to break his path of ruthlessness. At that time, he had not fully mastered the path of ruthlessness. How could he have expected someone to do something like this? But that was what the shield had done for so many years. From the beginning, it had told Jiao Wen about Red Hero's betrayal and told him about Red Hero's power. Until now, the shield had been plotting against Red Hero step by step. Lu Ying could not think of any great hatred or resentment that would make it do this. He was also very curious. Why did you set up this mortal zone before I fully mastered the path of ruthlessness? Red Hero shouted again. He stared at the shield. The shield's voice was full of resentment. Do you think the path of ruthlessness is very mysterious? When dealing with a path of ruthlessness, the center of gravity should not be used. Have you forgotten this? Red Hero's eyes widened. Qiao. Emperor. Emperor Qiao. Lu Ying was confused. He looked at Jiao Wen, as he had never heard of this name before. Jiao Wen's eyes widened as well. I see. It's Emperor Qiao's weapon. No wonder it looked familiar. Who's Emperor Qiao? Lu Ying asked. Jiao Wen said in a deep voice, he was an absolute powerhouse who fought against the second stronghold during the Nine Bases era. From what I remember, Emperor Qiao's opponent was the base master, Hong Shuang. Wasn't the second stronghold's strongest enemy Xianling? Lu Ying was surprised. Jiao Wen said, that was a war. The Nine Bases era supported each other, and so did the enemies. Xianling was a strong enemy, and so was Emperor Qiao. However, I don't know the details. Lu Yin was puzzled. Since Jiu Wen could recognize that Mao belonged to Emperor Qiu, Red Hero should have known as well. How could he have been schemed against by Mao? Or did he think that Mao would not scheme against him? Why would he scheme against me? I thought of many possibilities, but I never thought it would be you. Red Hero's tone was gloomy. You were the one who cooperated with me to get rid of Emperor Qiu. I helped you regain your life and gave you a chance to join the unknown. You should be thanking me. Why? The shield vibrated, and its voice became even more venomous. That's because Master was bound to die. Master did not expect to be schemed against by a despicable person like you. He could only pin his hopes on me, hoping that I would avenge him one day. From the moment Master died, I've been thinking of ways to take revenge. When dealing with the path of heartlessness, the focus is not on gravity. I've investigated your past and reappeared in the mortal world. I can only do this if you're harmed. I didn't see through your weakness. It was Master. Master saw through the weakness of the path of heartlessness. Red Hero, didn't you use this weakness to betray Hong Shuang? You caused Hong Shuang to leave, and no one knows whether she's dead or alive. As it spoke, its voice became louder. Now that you've forgiven me, it's only a matter of time before this path of heartlessness is broken. Humans will not let a traitor like you off. You're dead meat. Red Hero was furious. You're courting death. Lu Yin looked at the shield. Mao, let me interrupt. What does Emperor Qiu's death have to do with Red Hero? Mao's voice was cold. Kid, don't think that you're smart. You humans are all self-righteous. Hong Shuang is like that, and so are you. Be careful of being plotted against by this traitor. Back then, my master, Emperor Qiu, accepted Xian Ling's invitation to invade the second stronghold and fight Hong Shuang. At the critical moment, this traitor used the Ten-Eyed Crow's innate ability to ambush Master. This caused Master and Hong Shuang to fall into a battle of life and death, causing Master to be severely injured. This traitor also betrayed Hong Shuang at that time. Hong Shuang was determined to die and almost killed Master. Even after Hong Shuang left, Master knew that he would not survive. This traitor knelt before Xian Ling and prayed to the unknown. Xian Ling also betrayed Master. Master had no choice but to pretend to betray Master and join forces with this traitor. In the end, Master died. Master's greatest wish before he died was to eliminate Xian Ling and to kill Red Hero. If Red Hero had not betrayed your human civilization and fought to the death on the battlefield, Master would not have cared even if he died. However, he used Master to drag Hong Shuang down. He used the shameful identity of a traitor to take advantage of Master. This was something that Master could not tolerate. Master's dignity was being trampled on, and he had to die. Lu Yin looked at Red Hero and was shocked. Red Hero actually had the Ten-Eyed Crow's innate ability. This was something that he had not expected, but it made sense. The Ten-Eyed Crow had died at Hong Shuang's hands, and Red Hero knew its location. It was not impossible for him to obtain an innate ability. Chapter 44:12. Killing intent flashed in Lu Yin's eyes, not because of Emperor Qiu, but because of Hong Shuang. Mao wanted revenge from Emperor Qiu's perspective, while Lu Yin wanted revenge from Hong Shuang's perspective as well. Red Hero's shamelessness had led to the collapse of the second stronghold. He was the greatest traitor in human history, and he had to be eliminated. Red Hero sneered with a disdainful gaze. You're all really stupid. What dignity and inheritance? This is the universe, the cruelest place to live. Where's the dignity? There's dignity to live. Your master, Emperor Qiu, deserved to die for trusting Xian Ling. Who else would die if not him? And you, Lu Yin. You really did pretend to give up on dealing with me in order to lure this guy out. You've disappointed me. Your 3 universes will be destroyed because of your stupidity. You don't even know what you're facing. Do you really think you can reshape the 9th stronghold by yourself? It's impossible. Never. Your 3 universes have already reached the peak, and the unknown will not allow you to advance any further. The Master of Balance is suppressing you, and you will never be able to advance any further. You can only live under the shadow of the unknown for the rest of your life. Once you join the unknown, you will never know. Why do you think the unknown doesn't care if a creature that joins was once an enemy? It's because they have no choice. Whether it's you, Purple, Cyan, or the others, they have no choice but to join the unknown. They will always be the unknown, and your choice is destined to be tragic. The starry sky was silent, and only Red Hero's voice echoed. Lu Yin looked at Red Hero and then at Air Mao. They were all enemies. Air Mao wanted to take revenge on Red Hero, but he also hated humans. Red Hero was no exception. If he had the chance, he would destroy the 3 universes. He did not care about human civilization at all. In that case, he would let them fight to the death. Air Mao, I didn't see wrong. You seem to have broken the rules, Lu Yin said calmly. Red Hero's gaze turned cold. The unknown cannot attack each other. You used the mortal realm to break a portion of my path of heartlessness and cause me to be injured. You have broken the rules. Follow me back to the unknowns and receive your punishment. He then raised his hand to grab the shield. The shield's surface distorted, and golden flesh spread out, turning into 2 tentacles that lashed out at Red Hero. At the same time, a door appeared behind him. Lu Yin did not know what the consequences of breaking the rules would be, but he did. The moment it was discovered that it had plotted against Red Hero, it knew that it couldn't go back. In the unknown world, rules were greater than the heavens. The door suddenly shattered. The Red Hero's body had yet to arrive, but the path of ruthlessness had already enveloped the entire Red Coat universe under the stars. It was very, very difficult to escape from here. Back then, Lu Yin had used his unknown identity to threaten them and then teleported away to escape. The shield obviously couldn't do that. He could only take Red Hero's attack head-on and retreat step by step. The heavens rumbled as Lu Yin watched Red Hero attack Harry too. His golden flesh twisted the void as his merciless Tao covered the heavens. The shield was forced to retreat. Human, why aren't you attacking? I'll work with you to kill Red Hero. Air Mao shouted. Jiao Wen's gaze flickered. He was about to charge into the Blood Tower and die with the Blood Tower and the West Upper Peak to break the Red Hero's 70% heartless Tao. With Air Mao's help, they might win this battle. However, he was stopped by Lu Yin. I can't attack Red Hero. Jiao Wen finally reacted. If Lu Yin attacked Red Hero, the unknown side would attack him as well. Now that Azure Lotus Emperor had sealed himself, if Jiao Wen died with the Blood Tower and the West Upper Peak, who could attack even if Red Hero's 70% heartless Tao was broken? It was impossible to win with just a shield. The people from the 3 universes also couldn't attack because Red Hero was also protected by the unknown for 2,000 years. The only one who could attack Red Hero was Air Mao. In the distance, Air Mao was still shouting, but Jiao Wen was helpless. Senior, you can break Red Hero's 70% heartless Tao anytime. Now is not the time, Lu Yin said. There was one thing that he didn't mention. Since Red Hero's heartless Tao had been broken, then Jiao Wen might not necessarily die. He was still around, so he could break another portion. With the additional portion from the West Upper Peak, that would be enough. It wasn't easy for human civilization to develop, and Jiao Wen was a powerhouse who was compatible with 2 universal laws. If he could survive, then he would definitely try his best to survive. After watching for a while, Lu Yin took out the hanging coffin and entered track to find 8 color. Air Mao had attacked Red Hero, so Red Hero could naturally attack it without breaking the rules. However, Lu Yin was different. He hadn't been ambushed by Air Mao, so to prevent breaking the rules, he had to ask first. With track, Lu Yin looked for 8 color. Air Mao ambushed Red Hero. What do you say? 8 color's voice was calm. I already know. Capture track and punish it severely. Can I attack? Now, you can, 8 color replied. With 8 color's words, Lu Yin felt more confident and left track. At this moment, Air Mao had already been kicked out of Red Hero's civilization. It had to be said that it was really resilient. Red Hero's heartless Tao hadn't been broken yet, and it was extremely powerful. Back then, it had been able to suppress Qinglian Yu and Big Boss, but this shield had actually withstood it. It was also the weapon of an absolute powerhouse like Emperor Qiu. It was normal for it to have such abilities. However, it definitely couldn't escape. Jiuwen sat cross-legged in the Blood Tower and used himself to threaten Red Hero. Lu Yin used his mirroring technique to watch the battle. Red Hero definitely didn't want to fight, as it would be bound by karma. However, he also didn't want to let Air Mao go. Otherwise, Air Mao would become his enemy sooner or later. He was now being forced to fight. He really hoped that Lu Yin would attack, but it wasn't up to him or Air Mao to decide whether Lu Yin would attack. Lu Yin watched the battle from the sidelines, and he was in a good mood. He had finally taken the initiative. Air Mao wanted to reap the benefits from behind the scenes, and Red Hero wanted to use him to uncover the mastermind. In the end, Lu Yin was still more skilled. A battle between powerhouses wasn't simple, and Red Hero displayed the strength of his heartless Tao. He didn't use any rules, and he continuously attacked the shield. The shield also displayed an unparalleled defensive power, and it completely ignored the attacks. They fought their way from Red Hero's universe to the distance, but they couldn't escape Lu Yin's gaze. He saw Red Hero use his heartless sword intent and wander a river palm. He also saw Air Mao release his yellow godly power, which combined with his golden flesh made him incomparably tough. Red Hero had been hiding his innate gift of the 10-eyed crow and his yin-yang burning mirror. He also had his orange godly power, his sourcebox array, and his invisible world. Lu Yin's eyes narrowed. Red Hero was too cautious. Air Mao only knew that he was compatible with the universe's rules, but he didn't know anything else. The more he hid, the more important it was. Actually, if Air Mao hadn't revealed to Jiuwen that Red Hero was compatible with the universe's rules, they would have had a hard time stopping Red Hero. Nothing was absolute, and just thinking about it gave Lu Yin a headache. He still had to force Red Hero. Lu Yin's voice transmitted to Air Mao. If this drags on, the other unknowns will arrive. I've already told Boss Say about this. It was impossible to tell what the shield was feeling, but its attacks were clearly more violent. Golden flesh continuously swept out, tearing apart Red Hero's heartless Tao. As long as 70% of heartless Tao was not broken, it would still be powerful. If it could still be torn apart, one could imagine the power of the golden flesh. Find an opportunity yourself. I'll help you escape. Lu Yin transmitted his voice again. Red Hero glanced into the distance. He knew that Lu Yin was talking to the shield, and he could guess what they were talking about. However, he was currently in a passive position, and it would be difficult for him to break through the shield's defenses if this continued. After all, it belonged to Emperor Qiu. Red Hero, I've already told Boss Say about this. Boss Say wants me to help you. Take your time, and there's no rush. Lu Yin spoke to Red Hero again. Red Hero gritted his teeth. This brat definitely wouldn't make a move. He was waiting for the other powers to appear so that he could see through Red Hero. Red Hero had originally wanted to delay until the other unknowns arrived, but with this brat's words, perhaps none of the unknowns would arrive. This brat was scheming and extremely talented, but he still viewed Red Hero as an enemy. Red Hero could not be allowed to live, and he had to find a way to get rid of him as soon as possible. For now, Red Hero had to deal with this shield first. Since you want to see, I'll let you see. There was a thump as the shield was forced back. Red Hero faced the shield, raised his index and middle fingers, and pointed them out. The starry sky instantly changed, as if it had shrunk countless times in an instant. It also seemed as if Red Hero's power had changed everything. His index and middle fingers landed in front of the shield, and then they suddenly retreated. A chill ran down Lu Yin's spine, and he looked at the shield. As Red Hero retreated, cracks appeared where his finger had landed, and it directly pierced through the shield. The space behind the shield was torn apart, and the cracks extended endlessly. Lu Yin's eyes narrowed. What was this? The surface of the shield was covered with yellow godly power. The invisible world. So this is what you created with the absolute absolute. The invisible world uses absolute retreat to form an infinite number of attacks until you break the opponent's upper limit. Red Hero, you are ruthless. Lu Yin was shocked. Was this even possible? There were no absolutes in the universe, and the absence of absolutes was based on this. This invisible world, on the other hand, was based on the absence of absolutes. It used absolute retreat to form an opposite paradox, launching an infinite number of attacks. This was not a matter of combat strength, but of understanding of all things in the universe. Combat was also a kind of knowledge. Red Hero's face was calm as he raised his hand again and pointed at the shield. You were able to join the unknowns by relying on a defense that has reached the level of 2 universal laws. Even when facing a powerhouse of the same level as me, this defense still has room to fight. But you met me, and since you want to see, I'll show you. Do you really think you can deal with me? Follow me to the unknowns. The shield kept retreating, and around it, the yellow divine power kept twisting and thinning, forming a thread-like existence that wrapped around the shield. At first glance, it looked as if the shield was covered with a layer of yellow threads. No power is invincible. Even Master can't do it, and you can't do it either. There is a limit to your power. Red Hero sneered. But this limit is not with you. After he said that, his arm retreated again, and with a bang, the shield was broken again. This time, even the yellow divine power was penetrated, and it could not resist at all. In the distance, Lu Yin's eyes flickered, and he looked at Red Hero with fear. This was his killing power. This invisible world had nothing to do with time and space, but only with the result. If Red Hero's destructive power could exceed the shield's defense limit, then it could be broken in an instant. If it could not exceed the limit, then it would never be broken. With a bang, the shield was sent flying, and the yellow divine power was distorted by the impact. This is the 6 strongholds starry fish technique. How do you know it? Lu Yin's eyes lit up. So it was from the 6th stronghold. He had guessed correctly. The starry fist came from the 6th stronghold. The 6th stronghold's starry fish technique. It was quite famous. Take a guess. He punched out again. The starry fish shook the starry sky. Shrimps and shrimps. Could it be that the 3 universes came from the 6th stronghold? Lu Yin, I'll give you the direction of invincibility. If you send me away and avoid the unknown, I'll definitely help you deal with Red Hero in the future, Air Mao shouted. Lu Yin stared at it. What direction? Air Mao said, promise to send me away. Lu Yin hesitated. It was not impossible to let Air Mao go and work together to deal with Red Hero in the future, but it was too risky. It was also hostile to human civilization. Instead of letting it go, Luin wanted to seize it and learn more about the Ninth Stronghold era through it. Why should I believe that you can give me the direction of invincibility? There's no such thing as invincibility in this universe, Luin said. Mao sneered. That's because you haven't seen infinite possibilities. My master, Emperor Qiu, was once invincible in a certain field. He was compatible with 3 universes and was respected by Xianling. Absolute invincibility does exist. The universe is so vast that eternal realm experts can't see the end. The wider the universe, the more infinite possibilities there are. You're wrong. The wider the universe, the less the so-called invincibility exists because you can never see the entire universe. Wrong. You can feel it when a force reaches the strongest level. For example, you must be the strongest under the eternal life realm. Do you dare to say that the universe is boundless and that there is someone stronger than you under the eternal life realm? Luin was speechless. No matter how big the universe was, he was certain that no being under the eternal realm could surpass him. He was truly at the top of this level. Could it be as Mao said, that invincibility existed? He frowned. Tell me about it. Take me away, Mao said. Lu Yin's eyes flashed. The unknown can open the door in the long river of time. You can reach anywhere. Where can you escape to? Don't try to test me. I'll tell you everything I know about the unknown and your human civilization. No matter how powerful the unknown is, they can't see everything. If I help you, I'll be breaking the rules of the unknown. You didn't break the rules. Teleportation is one of the ways to fight. Luin had a headache. This shield was not easy to trick. Tell me the coordinates of the Mountain Sword Sect first. Mao was puzzled. Mountain Sword Sect. Why are you asking about them? Didn't you save them? Do you still want to leave? Luin shouted. Mao did not hesitate and told Luin the coordinates of the Mountain Sword Sect. It was not the Mountain Sword Sect's hometown, but it could be used to find their hometown. Luin teleported to the side of the shield. He touched it and teleported away. Just as Mao said, the unknown could not see everything. Teleporting for a while would allow Mao to escape the unknown's pursuit. This was what he and Mao thought, but when they saw the door not far away, they were completely silent. Mao had taken out the door to escape the Red Hero's pursuit, but the door had lost its function. It did not care and could only let Luin teleport it away. However, the door seemed to be stuck to Mao's body and kept changing its position as they teleported. Mao's golden flesh slammed into the door. Bang! The door did not move. Its surface was flowing with white. Needless to say, it was the unknown white's power. The moment the door was taken out, the unknown white had already targeted Mao. Beads of sweat dripped from Lu Yin's forehead as he looked at the door in the distance. He could not escape. Even teleportation could not avoid it. What kind of power did the unknown white have? How did it follow his teleportation? Or did it use other methods? He did not understand. The shield shook off Lu Yin's hand and rushed into the distance. But no matter where it ran, the door maintained a certain distance from it. No matter how it attacked, the door did not move. It could not be broken, and it could not be avoided. Luin felt a chill run down his spine. Mao had the power to conform to the 2 laws of the universe, but when it stood opposite the unknown, it encountered a hopeless situation that it had never imagined. The shield slammed into the door, and the golden flesh attacked it again and again. Yellow divine power poured out, but it could not do anything to the door. More and more white appeared around the door. Lu Yin's eyes flashed and he teleported above the shield. Go Lian appeared in his hand. You broke the unknown's rules. Mao, surrender. As he spoke, Go Lian slashed at the shield. The shield was not damaged at all. Mao did not care about Lu Yin and continued to attack the door. Lu Yin's attack was a show for the unknown white. He did not want to face the same thing as Mao. Just thinking about it made him nervous. Go Lian slashed continuously, but it did not slow down the shield at all. Lu Yin attacked with all his might. The shield slammed madly for a while and roared, "When Master was here, you. Who dared to attack? Be it the unknown or Xianling, you were all respectful to Master. What right do you have to treat me like this? I just want to avenge Master. Is Red Hero worthy to be compared to Master? The unknown, what right do you have to talk about rules? What right do you have to set rules for me? I've done enough for you all these years. White, let me go, let me go." Chapter 44:14. Lu Yin gripped the Go Lian tightly, raised it, and swung it down again. Bang! The shield was hit, and at the same time, the shield hit the door with a loud bang. The next moment, the door expanded and swallowed the shield. The starry sky was silent. Lu Yin teleported away and stared at the door in fear. The door slowly dissipated. Lu Yin took out the hanging coffin, lay down, and entered Knowledge Trace. As soon as he entered, he saw the shield under the tree wrapped in various colors of divine power. 8 colors voice spread throughout Knowledge Trace, all unknowns, enter. That's yellow. 8 color, what's going on? Why is yellow there? De Mao was puzzled. Looks like it broke the rules. What rules will it break? 8 color, could there be a mistake? Everyone knows yellow's personality. It's been so many years, it shouldn't be this serious. This was Clear's voice. 8 color spoke, yellow broke the rules and attacked orange. It then fled and betrayed the unknowns. It must be severely punished. De Mao was surprised. Mao attacked Red Hero. Lu Yin raised his eyebrows. You knew, De Mao. De Mao sneered, Kid, you had something to do with this. Don't talk nonsense, it has nothing to do with me. I was just helping the unknowns catch Mao, but I couldn't. Mao's defense is too strong. The old man laughed. After enduring for so many years, it finally made a move. What a pity. Old man, you know. No way, is Red Hero the only one who doesn't know? Lu Yin was puzzled. If that was the case, then Red Hero was too stupid. The old man said, no one knows, but the unknowns will always attack the unknowns. What's so surprising about that? Lu Yin was surprised. What do you mean? De Mao sneered, you don't want to attack me. You don't want to attack me. Clear said, we're all unknowns, so we should help each other. Lu Yin won't attack you, right, Lu Yin? Lu Yin wanted to say that he wanted to attack Clear the most, but he said, I'm more loyal to the unknowns than you are. That's good. Clear smiled. Lu Yin was disgusted. All unknowns, enter. First, yellow's punishment. 8 colors voice was calm, direct obliteration. Lu Yin's eyes narrowed. Direct obliteration. So. Directly obliterate. 8 colors, isn't that a little too serious? Clear couldn't bear it. De Mao also said, you actually killed him directly. Ba say, have you forgotten how much we lost? There are already 3 unknown deaths. If we kill yellow, we'll have 4 deaths. Except for the war with the 9th base, the unknowns have never lost so much. 8 colors said, I don't know. The rules are greater than the heavens. Lu Yin looked down at the divine tree. He hadn't expected Mao to be killed. It was a good thing for Red Hero, but not necessarily for him. At the very least, Mao was still a threat to Red Hero. Once Mao was dead, Red Hero would have nothing to worry about. However, Air Mao was also very hostile to human civilization. Before this, they had always been wary of this mastermind. Now that it had been completely dealt with, they were also relieved. However, he didn't know if the invincible enemy it mentioned was true or not. From the very beginning, the ideal situation was to find the mastermind behind the Red Hero and determine whether they wanted to deal with the Red Hero or deal with the human civilization at the same time. Because the Red Hero was the ruler of the Red Coats under the stars, the other party might have schemed against the Red Hero. They had completely destroyed the Red Coat civilization below the planet. However, the idea was good, but the result was not satisfactory. They had found the mastermind behind the scenes, but the life and death of this mastermind was not up to them. It's a pity, Emperor Qiu's weapon. When I see it, I can still vaguely remember Emperor Qiu's glory, Che said. The old man said, Emperor Qiu. It's indeed very powerful, blocking the second wall's main red frost alone, but it overestimated itself. It said that Xianling used it to deal with the human ninth base, but in reality, it wanted to use Xianling, but Xianling gave it up in the end. It alone, Xianling, including ninth base, has lost respect for the square inch. This is not good, hee. Lu Yin's gaze turned cold, and the words self-awareness flashed across his mind. He didn't know when, but he had actually forgotten these words, or rather, he had neglected them. Yes, they should have self-awareness and respect for the square inch, but the stronger they became, the more they neglected it. He was actually regretting that he couldn't use Air Mao. In reality, how could he use Air Mao? He was only at the level of a rogue. Other than him, there was no one in the 3 universes who could fight Air Mao. And it was still unknown whether he could defeat Air Mao with all his methods. He had killed Mudblade, Bright Rain, and Changdo, but he knew how difficult it was. Air Mao wasn't good at killing, but its defense was extremely terrifying. Red Hero could break through its defense, but it didn't mean that he could do the same. How could he use an existence that was hostile to human civilization and had the strength of 2 universes? Thinking of this, he broke out in cold sweat. He had been careless again. No, it wasn't him being careless, but human nature. Even though he had broken through the fear and confusion of the meteor realm and the 3 universes with a single ray of light, he still couldn't fully grasp the words self-awareness. This was human nature. He was like this, the former heaven in heaven was like this, and so was ninth base. There were many strong enemies in human civilization. Lu Yin took a deep breath, and his gaze turned cold. It was good to borrow strength to fight strength, but it could easily backfire if too much was borrowed. The Starry Fist technique originated from the 6th stronghold, Teia stars. The Invincible Fist technique in Sinking Star Universe originated from Shenjian Forever's masters. His masters all came from the 9th stronghold, which should be the 6th stronghold. If they were the only ones who said this, it might not be believable. Lu Yin had experienced the Starry Fist's Big Dipper Fist intent, and it was very strong. After igniting the Astral Fist manual, he was certain that this fist technique had absolute strength, but it was more likely to be passed down through civilization. Now, even Air Mao had pointed out this invincible legend. Air Mao had participated in the 9th stronghold battleship. However, with the addition of the unknowns, the credibility of its words was too high, especially when it was right before its death. Of course, Air Mao wasn't helping him. It just wanted to use him to kill Red Hero and avenge Emperor Qiu. It had no other choice. As soon as it said this, the divine power suddenly increased and melted the shield. What did it mean? Was it indirectly proving that what it said was true? The unknowns were trying to stop this sentence, but it had been spoken too suddenly, and there were only 7 words. Teia Starry Sky, Starry Fist. Could it really be invincible? Just as the shield completely melted, the golden flesh that had fused with the shield suddenly condensed and released a golden light that illuminated all of no trace. In an instant, it actually lifted up the multicolored divine power. The bestial roar and growl released the deepest fear in the creature's heart. Lu Yin's heart sank, and he felt an indescribable sense of panic, as if something was about to happen. Oh, it's Emperor Qiu. Is this the final attack left for Yellow? It's clearly dead, but it still wants to release its radiance within a square inch. But this is no trace. Hee hee. The roar shook the heavens, and the earth shook. A crack extended vertically from where the shield had melted, and the golden light was like a vertical eye that opened and scanned all of the unknowns. Every creature was swept by it, and Lu Yin was no exception. Following that, the blinding light seemed to collapse the heavens, but it was also flooded by the divine power that filled the sky. It completely disappeared into nothingness. The vertical crack and the golden flesh disappeared without a trace in an instant. The divine tree swayed for a moment. But it was only for a moment. Lu Yin looked on in shock. When the golden light had focused on him, he had felt the difference between heaven and earth. It had felt like Patriarch Shan's final strike. The toad star-seizing hand was the final glory of a supreme creature, but it had been drowned out in an instant. He was afraid that he hadn't really planned on fighting Air Mao to the death. Otherwise, even if Air Mao died, this attack would have been enough to bury him. He had underestimated the unknowns. Chapter 44:15. Lan Meng, Qi Su, and the others' deaths made him careless. However, to be invited by the unknown, who didn't have a trump card. These creatures weren't simple. Emperor Qiu's last brilliance has dissipated. 8 colors, we're leaving too. Let's go. I didn't expect to see Emperor Qiu's strength. But it can't hide the divine power. One by one, the unknown left. 8 colors said, yellow melts, and the divine power returns to the divine tree. If you have any suitable creatures, feel free to invite them. Why, are you in a hurry? De Mao teased. 8 colors said, if you don't have any, I'll invite them myself. The unknown will be replenished soon. Lu Yin's expression changed. Another unknown. Troublesome. How soon? Divine Master suddenly asked. Are you asking for that little human? I'm curious, Divine Master said. 8 colors said, any creature invited will be notified in advance. Also, the melted matter of the flying fish belongs to Orange as compensation. Red Hero didn't reply. No one knew if he left or what. Lu Yin looked at the melted liquid under the tree. Once it solidified, even if it didn't have the defensive power of Air Mao when he was alive, it was definitely not simple. At least, ordinary Eternal Realm creatures couldn't break it. 8 colors, I'll take action too, he said. He wanted to get some of the melted liquid. With Go Lian, he didn't mind getting a shield. 8 colors said, you have the obligation to deal with the unknown who broke the rules. What do you want? The black unknown suddenly asked. Lu Yin retreated. After the incident with Air Mao, he was even more afraid of the unknown. He could indeed gain benefits from these unknown, but the price he paid might let the enemy gain more. Anyway, he was still young. He could take it slow. After leaving the unknown, he went to the Red Coat universe under the stars. He saw a Red Hero standing in front of the Blood Tower. Red Hero was obviously waiting for him. Lu Yin appeared. Red Hero looked at him. Lu Yin's gaze turned cold. Congratulations, there's one less enemy plotting against you. Congratulations to you too. You're getting more and more aware of the situation. Red Hero said. As he spoke, the corners of his mouth curled up. He looked at Lu Yin with a cold gaze. How confident do you think the three universes can deal with me now? Lu Yin sneered. Are you talking about the one who broke 70% of the ruthless path? Red Hero said, once the unknown protection period is up, if you dare to break my 70% ruthless path, I will kill my way to your three universes. Let's see who can stop me. Whether it's the Understar Red Coat universe or you, how confident are you in stopping me? Lu Yin's eyes widened. You can try. So what if Air Mao is dead? We never expected anyone to help us. Red Hero stared at him coldly and left. Lu Yin watched as the traitor left. This traitor had used this to threaten Senior Jiu Wen. If they did not break through Lu Yin's path of 70% ruthlessness, he would not rest until he was dead. Without the threat of being the mastermind behind the scenes, Lu Yin would be able to sweep through all three universes. After all, the Azure Lotus Emperor had been sealed, and Senior Jiu Wen had died. There was no one left in the human civilization who could stop Lu Yin. Unless they didn't break the 70% Heartless Tao and used the 70% Heartless Tao as a threat to maintain the stalemate. This was a good situation for everyone, and it was also the situation that Red Hero hoped for. He knew very well that Lu Yin would not let him off, and Jiu Wen would not give up on the chance to break Red Hero's 70% Ruthless Tao. We can't give him a chance. Since he is threatening us, he might already have a way to neutralize the way of emotionlessness, the Wine asked. Lu Yin nodded. I know, Senior. What is it? Jiu Wen shook his head. Now that the mastermind behind his scheme has been exposed, he no longer has any scruples. He was too impulsive in this matter. Lu Yin did not think so. As long as the mastermind was not exposed, would they continue to be led by the nose? From the results, it seemed that Lu Yin had been too impulsive. However, before knowing the truth, no one dared to say whether he should have done it or not. Now that Air Mao had been exposed, the situation was completely clear. Otherwise, even if they worked with Air Mao to kill Red Hero, they would still have to deal with Air Mao in the end. Air Mao's enemies were not just Red Hero and Xianling, but also the human civilization. Furthermore, Air Mao's death was not without value. At least, it allowed Lu Yin to see part of Red Hero's hidden strength. It also allowed him to know the direction of invincibility. Although he might not be able to walk down this path, since he had comprehended the Astral Fist manual, it was possible for him to continue walking down this path. That's right. Lu Yin suddenly thought of something. He opened his celestial eye, and his external pupil incarnation stared at a piece of black armor. This piece of black armor recorded half of the coordinates, and on it was the invincible power that Patriarch Shan had mentioned. Could it be the Tea stars? It was not impossible. Air Mao and Patriarch Shan had both experienced the Nine Walls Civilization War. Perhaps they had seen the invincible power of the Sixth Stronghold and left something behind. Otherwise, how could there be so many invincibles? Wait, that wasn't right either. It seemed like there were quite a few invincibles in the Nine Walls Civilization War. For example, the invincible technique in the Fifth Stronghold's heart technique also contained the word invincible. Lu Yin rubbed his head. Just how arrogant had the humans been during the Nine Walls Civilization War? They had dared to claim that they were invincible. If they were truly invincible, they would have left something behind for others to find. What was the point of just leaving behind the word invincible? They were currently in a deadlock with Red Hero. Red Hero was afraid of breaking the Ruthless Tao, while they were afraid that once they broke the Ruthless Tao, Red Hero would go crazy. The three universes currently did not have the power to stop Red Hero, and Lu Yin did not want to sacrifice Senior Jiu Wen in this situation. This was the only way. Unfortunately, he had not been able to obtain Air Mao's strand of divine power. Otherwise, one more strand of divine power would mean one more chance. Lu Yin looked at the mortal domain. It still existed, and Red Hero had not destroyed it. Did he still have a sliver of hope? If he could break the ruthless Tao, then perhaps he could reconstruct it. Lu Yin asked Jiao Wen about this possibility, and Jiao Wen immediately said that it was impossible. If the ruthless Tao's legacy could be restored so easily, then Red Hero would not have been so afraid. This was the logic, but Lu Yin looked at the mortal domain. Perhaps it can be another ruthless Tao's legacy, Shi Shangfeng suddenly said. Lu Yin and Jiao Wen looked at him. This person had almost no presence from start to finish, but his existence was incomparably important. If he had not been controlled here, then even the mortal domain's changes would not have been able to do anything to Red Hero. What do you mean? Jiao Wen did not understand. Shi Shangfeng looked at the mortal domain. Once the ruthless Tao's legacy is broken, it cannot be restored, but it can be recultivated. That domain caused the heroic ancestor to experience pain twice. This pain is different from the physical pain, but if it can directly break his ruthless Tao, then it must have touched the soul. This is the pain of cultivating the ruthless Tao's legacy. But isn't the ruthless Tao's legacy outside? Lu Yin asked. Suddenly, he turned to look at the mortal domain. Not good. Teleporting into the mortal world, he arrived at the wedding place of the northern hero. This place was already filled with wolves. Tan luo ruo ruo xian huijing yulao hydrazine jia yulao axayan xiing by luo bo luo su yu fei mirroring by luo by daft person who had killed his entire family had become another red hero. Now, northern hero was gone. He was the ruthless Tao's legacy. Red hero and northern hero had experienced the same thing. If Red Hero could cultivate the ruthless Tao, so could Northern Hero, and it was very easy. Northern Hero's experience had indeed broken Red Hero's legacy, but it could also become Northern Hero's own legacy. Lu Yin had actually forgotten this point. Perhaps it was not as simple as Shi Shangfeng had said. Since Northern Hero was another Red Hero, no one knew to what extent Red Hero would use him. The only good thing was that Northern Hero needed time to grow. He'd only mentioned the ancestors' defeat, as he didn't want to pressure Lu Yin. He hoped that Lu Yin could help them take revenge. Now that they could find their home, Shan Yu told Lu Yin about the past. It was Lu Yin's first time hearing about it. Chapter 44:16. Shan Yu's gaze was sharp, and he said in a low voice, "The ones who chased us away were creatures called eagle beasts. These creatures live in groups, and they're actually the original inhabitants of the soaring thunder universe. Our origins are the same as the three universes, and we were abandoned bait. We came later, so we didn't show any hostility to the original creatures when we entered that universe. Master even let the eagle beasts break through the barrier of eternal life. Before we arrived, there was no eternal life in the soaring thunder universe. The eagle beasts broke through the barrier and revealed their cruel side. They first ambushed Master and injured him. Then, they started wars again and again, killing each other. Unfortunately, the eagle beasts were extremely fast, and they were proficient in the power of thunder. They also reproduced in large numbers, and we humans gradually couldn't hold on any longer. From the beginning, we reproduced in large numbers until we fled with the Mountain Sword sect. At this point, he gritted his teeth. Master felt that it was a waste to invest in the soaring thunder universe. After all, the reproduction of our human civilization would consume a large amount of the soaring thunder universe's resources, so he pointed out a direction for the eagle beasts. However, he didn't expect that the eagle beasts would become so powerful. Master also regretted it, but it was too late. He could only escape with the Mountain Sword sect. Lu Yin was calm. The Mountain Sword sect's ancestor was too kind. To be honest, he could still be so kind after being abandoned by the strongholds and becoming bait. It could only be said that this senior was not suitable for such a cruel way of survival. He had lost to the eagle beasts in the soaring thunder universe and had been used by Mao time and time again. He had always been passive in the Mudwater Kingdom War, and the only time he had taken the initiative was when he blocked Liu Yin's death. Liu Yin respected him, but he did not approve of him. His way of life. If it were him, it would be impossible for him to help the eagle beasts break through the barrier of eternal life. As for the soaring thunder universe, the eagle beasts were only born in accordance with the soaring thunder universe. It was not as if they had created the soaring thunder universe, so there was no loss. This was the principle of survival in the soaring thunder universe. Now, the Mountain Sword sect knew, but it was too late. The Mountain Sword sect's ancestor was already dead. They could not see the day of revenge. Perhaps the Mountain Sword sect's ancestors' thoughts were similar to the Ninth Stronghold. The Fifth Stronghold had also accepted Yu Wu and Yu Che, and the other strongholds might have done similar things. When human civilization reached a certain level of strength, they would become careless and unnecessarily kind. What abilities does the eagle beast have? Shan Yu recalled, it was very difficult for me to get close to the battle between Master and the eagle beast. However, I heard Master mention that the eagle beast was in accordance with the laws of the universe. It was extremely fast, so fast that Master couldn't even lift his sword. He could only let the eagle beast attack again and again, causing the human civilization to suffer losses. In the end, Master was forced to retreat. The eagle beast man also has karmic restraints, but I can't guarantee that the eagle beast man won't be willing to suffer the karmic restraints to snatch the soaring lightning universe. Once it goes crazy, it will suffer the karmic restraints, but our human civilization will be finished. Shan Yu said bitterly, Master always thought that we are the only human civilization in the universe. He tried his best to let us survive. No matter what, we have to survive. Unfortunately, luck is always on the enemy's side. We managed to get rid of the eagle beasts, only to face the unknown. How hateful. Liu Yin asked, since the eagle beasts are extremely fast, why didn't they chase after you? Shan Yu shook his head. Its purpose is to drive us away. It's not easy to break through the barrier and reach the level of eternal life. It doesn't want to be bound by karmic restraints. Liu Yin understood that this was the gamble that the Mountain Sword sect's ancestor had mentioned. He didn't dare to gamble. If he lost, he would lose the entire human civilization that he believed to be. At the same time, he envied himself for daring to gamble with his life. If he won, he wouldn't end up like that. There was no right or wrong. It was just that everyone had different burdens and losses. Was it fast? Interesting. Let's see how fast it was compared to teleportation. Not long after, they arrived. Mao didn't lie to him. In front of him was the starry sky that Shan Yu was familiar with. It was not the soaring lightning universe. It was the universe that the Mountain Sword sect's ancestor found after leaving the soaring lightning universe. This universe also had a civilization, but there were no eternal realm experts or even primordial realm experts. That time, the Mountain Sword sect's ancestor had learned his lesson and stopped teaching the creatures of this universe. However, he was targeted by Mao. Looking at the universe in front of him, Shan Yu was excited. He was finally coming back. Liu Yin looked into the distance with the mirroring technique. Where did you come from? Shan Yu looked around and pointed in a direction. Liu Yin looked in that direction and constantly teleported at the same time. After a while, he arrived in front of a universe. Beside him, Shan Yu's excited expression indicated that this was the soaring lightning universe. Under the mirroring technique, Liu Yin saw the entire soaring lightning universe. He saw eagle beasts hovering in the sky. They were the rulers of this universe. He also saw various other creatures prostrating at the feet of the eagle beasts. In particular, he saw the eternal realm eagle beast. The moment Luin saw it, the eagle beast suddenly stood up and looked outside the universe vigilantly. It had sensed it. Luin didn't plan to hide it. He took out Mount Supreme and let the eagle beast see it. Everyone in the Mountain Sword sect saw it and teleported with Shan Yu in front of the Eternal Realm eagle beast. A person suddenly appeared in the starry sky. It was so calm. However, the eagle beast was extremely vigilant. Its eyes stared at Luin like nails. "Human, you still dare to come back?" Shan Yu looked at the huge eagle beast in front of him. In the surroundings, eagle beasts appeared one after another and let out warning cries. The auras of creatures came from the stars. The weakest were at the progenitor realm. Most of them were at the sequence law level. There were also many primordial realm and Dooku air. They were also cooperating with the eagle beast to threaten. However, the auras of these creatures were no different from ants in Lu Yin's eyes. Within Mount Supreme, the people of the Mountain Sword sect looked outside excitedly. Many of them dreamed of returning home and had been looking forward to this day for a long time. Most of them were seeing it for the first time, especially those eagle beasts. They looked quite powerful. Apart from the people of the Mountain Sword sect, there were also many enemies that Luin had captured. At this moment, they were also looking outside, such as Qian Shu and Meng Sang Tian. Of course, most of them had been released by Luin long ago. They saw the eagle beasts hovering outside and felt waves of powerful auras. They were a little shocked. However, they felt that the creatures outside couldn't compare to the heavily injured creatures that were occasionally thrown into Mount Supreme. They didn't know what the heavily injured creatures that Luin had thrown into Mount Supreme were. They were all eternal realm beings. Shan Yu looked at Luin. "Just tell it what you want to say. With me here, you can eat it if you want." Shan Yu was stunned. This tone was too disrespectful to the eagle beast. But what was with this pleasure? It was unprecedentedly carefree. Soon. The eagle beast heard it and stared at Luin with a strong sense of uneasiness. It was a beast's intuition. "Human, you don't belong to this universe. You can leave. I didn't stop you. We don't have a blood feud." Shan Yu shouted, "Bastard, do you still remember me?" The eagle beast's hair stood up. Bastard. These two words touched its bottom line. This was what the old human called it after it had fallen out with him. It hated these two words very much. "You're Shan Yu." Shan Yu sneered, "You still remember me. That's great. You didn't think that we would come back one day, right?" The eagle beast stared at Shan Yu. "Where's the old man?" "He didn't dare to come out himself, so he sent you." Shan Yu clenched his fists. "Our human civilization came to this universe because we felt that we owed you, so we taught you. Our master even helped you break the barrier of eternal life, but you actually turned against us and attacked our master, slaughtering our human civilization. You are truly an evil creature." The eagle beast roared, "It's you who took the resources of Soaring Thunder Universe. There are more and more humans, squeezing our living space. Why didn't you say that before you broke through Eternal Realm? Compared to Eternal Realm and resources, which one is more important? Bastard, you dare to distort the truth." Shan Yu rebuked. The eagle beast's claws glinted coldly, "Let that old man come out." Shan Yu was in grief. His master was no longer here. Luin glanced at Shan Yu. This was too polite. He had let him vent his anger, but not reason. "Bastard, there's no need for Senior to come out. I'm here. Tell me what you want to say." The eagle beast stared at Luin. "Who are you?" Lu Yin's lips curled up, "An ordinary human. You're definitely not from the Mountain Sword sect." The eagle beast was on guard. Luin made it feel uneasy. Even the Mountain Sword sect's ancestor could not make it feel this way. "Then where do you think I'm from?" It doesn't matter where you're from. This is a grudge between us and the Mountain Sword sect. They took the resources of Soaring Thunder Universe and squeezed our living space. I only chased them away, not killed them all. You can't say anything about this. Shan Yu was about to speak, but Lu Yin raised a hand to stop him. He sized up the eagle, amused. So what? The eagle beast's gaze turned cold. Shan Yu looked at Lu Yin in shock. Lu Yin clasped his hands behind his back. This universe is ours. You have to listen to what I've said. Why should I reason with a bastard like you? Are you worthy? Shan Yu looked at Lu Yin calmly and was not used to it. The Mountain Sword sect had always been reasonable, and Master was even more humble. Why did this person make him look up to him so much? Yes, that's it. That's how it should be. The eagle beast was furious and spread its wings. Human, you want to steal Soaring Thunder Universe? Lu Yin shook his head. No, we don't want to steal Soaring Thunder Universe. The eagle beast's aura calmed down slightly. Lu Yin said slowly, I just want to kill you. The eagle beast screeched and suddenly disappeared. A bolt of lightning flashed where it had been. Shan Yu was shocked. Be careful. Lu Yin looked up, raised his right arm, and spread his fingers. Bang! There was a loud noise, and Shan Yu slowly turned his head and looked at the eagle beast in shock. It was less than a meter away from him. So fast. At this moment, the eagle beast was also stunned as it looked at its claws being caught by Lu Yin. How was this possible? How could this human withstand its attack? And it was extremely fast, it thought. It was a sneak attack, and this was the fastest it could do. The Mountain Sword sect's ancestor could not even see it and could only be slaughtered. How could this human? Chapter 44:17. Lu Yin turned to look at it. That's it. As he spoke, he exerted force with his 5 fingers, crushing the eagle's sharp claws. The eagle howled and wanted to retreat, but its body was firmly held. The vitality on its body surged out and pressed against Lu Yin, and the immortal substance wrapped around a strand of thunder slashed out. Lu Yin didn't move, allowing the attack to fall, but it couldn't hurt him. His hand was still holding the eagle's claws. Thunder roared, and the entire Soaring Thunder Universe shook. Endless thunder covered and flashed, illuminating Lu Yin's face and the eagle's hesitant eyes. It kept struggling to get rid of Lu Yin, but it couldn't break free. It was easily caught like a chicken. Shan Yu was stunned. This was an eagle, a powerful immortal realm expert who drove them away and beat his master helplessly. But now, it was in such a sorry state, so weak. The eagle screamed, What level of expert are you? Isn't the immortal realm the upper limit? Who are you? It didn't understand. It had broken through the immortal realm and had eternal life, which should be the upper limit of a creature's survival. But this person didn't let it sense the aura of an immortal realm expert, and yet he was so strong that it couldn't fight back. This person had definitely surpassed the immortal realm, reaching a height that it couldn't see clearly. The human civilization actually had such an expert, and they shouldn't have been driven away. Shan Yu. Shan Yu respectfully said, Master Lu. What do you want to say to it now? Lu Yin asked. Shan Yu looked at the eagle beast that was struggling non-stop. Its aura was shocking, and thunder rumbled, but it was still unable to break free. After thinking for a while, he shouted, Evil creature, you are not even fit to be my mount. The eagle was furious, and its vitality continued to soar. Lu Yin was speechless. This Shan Yu. He was too polite. With a crack, the eagle's claws broke, and the eagle disappeared in a flash. It ran away. Master Lu, it escaped, Shan Yu said. Lu Yin said, It can't escape. With that, he teleported and disappeared. The next moment, Luin appeared on the eagle's head in the corner of the starry sky and stood directly on its head. The eagle beast flipped over and unleashed a battle technique. Luin was astonished. This should be a battle technique from the Mountain Sword sect, right? You seem to have gotten quite a bit of it. The common flaw of humans is that they are too benevolent. The higher some creatures stand, the more they despise those at the bottom. But humans are different. Benevolence and sympathy make them willing to accept those pitiful creatures. But I don't know that some creatures are not worthy of being accepted. The triple blue sword intent swept across, and the eagle beast's other claw was cut off. It wailed, "Human powerhouse, I'm willing to submit. Please don't kill me. I'm willing to become your mount." Lu Yin's gaze was cold. "Shan Yu said that you are not worthy." With that said, another triple firmament sword will slashed out, tearing open the eagle's body. Blood splattered across the starry sky. The eagle wanted to escape, but lightning bombarded it wildly. In the blink of an eye, it rushed out of the soaring thunder universe. It didn't dare to stay any longer. However, Luin caught up to it and slashed out with his triple firmament sword intent again and again, bringing despair to the eagle beast. It struggled, begged for mercy, and resisted, but it was all useless. In the face of Lu Yin's absolute suppression, all of its methods were laughable. It even tried to return to kill Shan Yu and threaten Lu Yin with Shan Yu and the others, but it couldn't even get close to Shan Yu. It was seriously injured in front of Shan Yu, and its body was dyed red with blood. The general appointment platform hell appeared, and Lu Yin casually threw it in. He looked at Shan Yu. "What should we do with these eagle beasts?" Shan Yu said, "I don't know either." Lu Yin looked. In the starry sky, all the eagle beasts were hiding. Those creatures who dared to release their auras to threaten them were also trembling. What should they do? The entire soaring thunder universe had produced countless eagle beasts. These eagle beasts had already ruled this universe and could be considered a civilization. If the eternal realm eagle beasts survived, and if they were lucky, the eagle beasts would continue to increase the number of eternal realm experts. Even if the eternal realm eagle beast was killed by him, the other eagle beasts would know how to break through the barrier of the eternal realm. Regardless of whether their talent could break through or not, at least they had a great Tao that led to eternal life. This great Tao was given by humans, but they were the enemies of humans. Let this soaring thunder universe bury the eagle beasts. Lu Yin put away Mount Supreme and left the soaring thunder universe with Shan Yu. He raised his hand, and the triple firmament sword will appeared in his palm. Shan Yu knew what Lu Yin was going to do and didn't stop him. Their home was now the triple firmament universe. If the eagle beasts in the soaring thunder universe weren't eliminated, the mountain sword sect's fate might reappear in the future. There was no need to keep an enemy that was raised because of the benevolence of humans. The eagle beasts used the mountain sword sect's ancestor to obtain an opportunity to break through to the eternal realm. Now, they would also die because of this opportunity. There were white and black walls in the mental state. Lu Yin was not a merciful person. There was no need to be merciful to survive in this universe. A sword flashed past, and the universe was rebooted. Countless eagle beasts howled and rushed out, but none of them could escape. Lu Yin put his hands behind his back and watched calmly. The cycle of the heavenly Tao was also the cycle of life. When the eternal realm eagle beast came out, it saw the soaring thunder universe that had been rebooted. It couldn't care about anything else and hurriedly begged Lu Yin for mercy. It begged Shan Yu for mercy. At this moment, Shan Yu's hatred towards Lu Yin was gone. Its hatred was already gone. An eye for an eye, it was over. Lu Yin casually ended the eagle beast's life. Such eternal life was also a threat to the triple firmament universe. He didn't want to worry about this guy's betrayal when he was attacked by a strong enemy. The enemy had to be completely eradicated. The matter of the Mountain Sword sect was over. From now on, the people of the Mountain Sword sect would stay in the triple firmament universe with peace of mind and would gradually merge with the three universes. Lu Yin also entered Xiang City. He wanted to find the heart connection technique and find a way to control Xiang City. Ever since the chaos, many things in Xiang City had to be redone. Tables, chairs, and even slippers had to be redone. There were also chickens, ducks, fish, and dogs. Now, there were almost no foreign creatures in Xiang City. Lu Yin turned into a bird and circled above the city. There was also a stone golem that cooperated with him. He decided to start observing everyone in Xiang City, every house, every place, and every stone. He didn't believe that he couldn't see through Xiang City in 100, 1,000, or even 10,000 years. There would be a day when he would find it. If people hid something, they could find it. Then, can you also look at the stones in the latrine? The stone golem asked. Lu Yin then threw it into the latrine. Help me look. In the blink of an eye, 300 years passed. For cultivators, time passed very quickly. During these 300 years, a group of youths from the three universes had risen. The 10 arbiters, the 5 scions of the stars, the junior governor pavilion, and so on had all become history. A short 300 years wasn't enough time for anything to happen. Lu Yin had been in Xiang City all this time. He had observed many people, but he hadn't found the heart connection technique. However, he had discovered that Xiang City could actually use the power of will. He hadn't expected this. He had thought that no power could be used in Xiang City. He was already a little bird that was afraid of mortal arrows, but he could still use the power of will. When he had first used the power of will, he had been excited. He had become invincible. But why could Xiang City use the power of will? The only thing he could think of was what Senior Yu Wu had said. The power of will could break through the phaseless sky technique. The phaseless sky technique was a mental technique, and only mental techniques could break through it. Perhaps the power of will was the nemesis of mental techniques. The nemesis of mental techniques actually complemented each other. Xian Ling's teleportation could counter the heartless Tao, but similarly, the heartless Tao could also capture teleportation. The power of will could counter mental techniques, but mental techniques could also be cultivated using the power of will. This was the only possibility Lu Yin could think of. Thus, he used the power of will to observe Xiang City, which was much more convenient. The power of will could see through people's hearts, allowing him to see more and experience more. What was even more surprising was that using the power of will in Xiang City was also a form of cultivation, and his power of will was constantly increasing. Within Xiang City, he could only use his power of will to cover one family, and then it would expand to 2, 3, 5, and so on. When he reached the outside world, the range of his power of will had also increased significantly. Even if it didn't increase by several times, the range was still quite exaggerated. Regardless of whether or not the power of will could help him find the heart connection technique, at least the range of his power of will was increasing. If he could one day expand to cover multiple universes, that would mean that the strength of his power of will would be directly related to the number of universes he could cover. If one universe could allow him to use his power of will to block an immortal master's attack, then what about 2, 10, or even more? The power of will had always been a joke, and Lu Yin felt that he had pulled this joke out of himself. It was too high. Furthermore, the power of will was the only power that could be used in Xiang City, and it was highly likely that it was the only way to find the heart connection technique. This path was definitely not wrong. As he cultivated, paths appeared one after another, and all he had to do was continue walking. He would always be able to see the end. On this day, as soon as he came out of Xiang City, he saw Patriarch Lu Yuan and the ancient god waiting for him. Lu Yin was surprised. Why were they here? Seeing Lu Yin come out, Patriarch Lu Yuan heaved a sigh of relief and said, De Chang is about to break through to the eternal life realm. Can you help him find a universe that can be rebooted? Lu Yin was surprised and looked at the ancient god. Senior is about to break through to the eternal life realm. The ancient god nodded. Lu Yin sized up the ancient god. The ancient god's aura was steady. He didn't know how long it had been since he had reached the peak of the bitter adversity realm, but now he felt like he was ready to break through. Alright, let's go. Lu Yin immediately brought the ancient god to find a universe civilization and directly rebooted it. Over the years, Patriarch Lu Yuan and the others have been constantly drawing star maps around the three universes, allowing Lu Yin to see one universe after another. Some universes had no civilizations at all, while some were quite powerful. There were many progenitors, but none above the primordial realm. This was the case for the rebooted universe. The civilizations in this universe were the kind that made them feel disgusted at first glance, but there were also many progenitor creatures that had given birth to many parallel universes. The mother tree had also been corroded by those creatures. This was a universe that could be rebooted, and it was just right for the ancient god. He watched as the ancient god entered, and then the universe rebooted. Lu Yin sighed. I didn't expect Senior Ancient God to be the first among you to try to break through to the progenitor realm. Patriarch Lu Yuan said, compared to us, De Chang has encountered more. After saying that, his tone changed. Although he asked for it. Lu Yin was speechless. He laughed. The relationship between the patriarch and the others was really good. Chapter 44:18. I'll bring Wu De and the others here, Lu Yuan said and was about to leave, but Lu Yin stopped him. It's faster if I go. Then, he teleported and disappeared. Not long after, Chu Yi, Wu Tian, Hongyan Mavis, Desolate God, and Zhelan Zhilua all arrived. They all looked at the distant universe and waited silently. To break through to immortality using the method of rebooting the universe, one needed to experience the origin and decay of the universe with the eternal matter until the realm transformed and accepted the eternal matter, allowing the vitality in the body to grow and multiply endlessly to achieve immortality. This was the most common method of breaking through to immortality. Previously, the eagle beast had broken through this method under the guidance of the mountain sword sect's ancestor. The ancient gods had cultivated for a long time. At first, because of the ancestors' obstruction, they were not allowed to enter the primordial realm, which delayed their cultivation progress. Later, the above heaven sect was defeated and they joined the Eternals. After so many years, although their cultivation had only increased recently, they had reached the realm long ago. As the human civilization climbed step by step, the ancient gods could completely let go of themselves. In just a few hundred years, they had completed the process from Ku Ai to Ku Ai Great Perfection, all the way to the immortality realm. Even so, it was still too rushed. After all, how long had they been at Ku Ai Great Perfection? It was not as long as Qing Xing and the others, who were not in a hurry to break through. Breaking through with the help of rebooting the universe and breaking through by oneself are two different concepts. I advised De Chang to bear with it, but he still couldn't. Chu Yi sighed. Lu Yuan said, it would be strange if he listened to you. Otherwise, he wouldn't have asked for trouble. Zhelan Zhiluo's voice was cold. De Chang won't tell us what he's thinking, but we can guess. He thinks that our human civilization has too few immortality realms. That's not entirely true. Hongyan Mavis looked into the distance. He was injured too badly in his early years. Although he recovered, he was not confident that he could break through to the immortality realm. You know how difficult it is for Mr. Mu to break through. Mr. Mu can bear it by himself, but the difficulty lies in returning to his own universe. Lu Yin looked into the distance. Yes, the ancient god was severely injured by Master Grass and was almost trampled to death by the Eternals. If time had not reversed, he would have died. The hidden danger from such a serious injury would still affect him even if it disappeared with time. Moreover, not everyone could break through to the immortality realm by themselves. Startlegate defense and Blood Tower defense to break through. This path was even more difficult and there was no end in sight. Although it was a pity, for an ancient god, it was most suitable for him to make a breakthrough with the help of the universe's reboot. The universe rumbled and split open. Parallel spacetimes were destroyed one after another. Endless eternal matter descended and appeared in the cracks created by the collision of parallel spacetimes. The ancient god leaped up and grabbed the eternal life substance. Time passed slowly, and the ancient god's aura became infinitely weaker. He began to try his origin and decay. Lu Yin had seen this scene more than once, and the one that had left the deepest impression on him was Grandmaster Lan Yi. Lan Yuzhou had clearly been compatible with Lan Yuzhou, but he had still failed in the end. He hoped that the ancient gods would succeed. Every time the universe was rebooted, it was the most dazzling but also the most silent moment of the universe. Life had life and death, and the universe was the same. Humans could view their lives in terms of length and breadth. So how does the universe view its own life? Its life depended on living creatures. It was clearly a universe that nurtured countless living creatures, but in the end, it could only allow living creatures to influence its life and death. If the universe was like this, what about the distance of a square inch? Time continued to pass, and 3 years had already passed. The ancient god had been trying origin and decay all this time, and the speed at which he grabbed the eternal life matter was very fast. Lu Yinyin watched the ancient god try again, and he felt uneasy. Lei Gong had been the first person to try breaking through to eternal life. Lei Gong's body had tried to decay, but he had never had an origin. He had been reduced to ashes, and before he died, he had roared with unwillingness. Then Supreme Venerable Lan Yi also died while trying to break through. Too many people from the Nina Firmament's universe had died like this. Should we stop, Senior Ancient God? Patriarch Lu Yuan and the others didn't say anything as they looked into the distance. Stop. Where was the dignity of the strong? Where was their dignity? Ever since they had come into contact with the distance of a square inch, their generation had gradually withdrawn from the stage of history. They were clearly the earliest batch of cultivators from the Tianyuan universe, but they could only watch as Lu Yin risked his life outside. Those who could stand beside Lu Yin were all from the Nina Firmament's universe. What about them? All of them stayed in the universe, waiting for news in a cowardly manner. Who could understand their unwillingness? There was another reason why the strong wanted to break through to eternal life, and they were all very clear about it. They wanted to make their generation famous. They wanted to tell the world that they had once led the Tianyuan universe, and that they would be able to walk in front of everyone in the future. Whether it was glory or calamity, they could bear it all. And not just by relying on a child. How many life and death situations had this child experienced? It was getting harder and harder to keep up with his footsteps. This was something they couldn't bear. Even if they died, they had to forge a path. Not long after, the expressions of Patriarch Lu Yuan and the others changed drastically as they looked into the distance. The ancient god's body was completely declining. Lu Yin's eyes narrowed. This was bad. If he continued to decline, there would be no possibility of him having an origin. He would turn into ashes and die. He looked at Patriarch Lu Yuan and the others. Patriarch Lu Yuan and the others were calm. Although they were uneasy, they still didn't stop him. The ancient god was only the first. If he died, they would come one by one until someone could walk the path of eternal life. They were not afraid of death. Patriarch Lu Yin couldn't help but shout. Patriarch Lu Yuan gritted his teeth. Watch. Lu Yin looked at the ancient god again. His body was on the verge of collapse. Chu Yi's voice sounded. Lu Yin looked over. Chu Yi looked at him and smiled. Your determination to protect humanity is the same as our determination to protect you. We are not afraid of death. Lu Yin's body trembled. He didn't say anything else and waited silently. His heart calmed down. Everyone had their own path. He couldn't control others, nor could he change their intentions to protect him. He wasn't afraid of death, and so were others. As long as the ancient god didn't give up, they could only watch. Even if they died, they had to give him his final dignity. The ancient god's aura was almost non-existent. Lu Yin was nervous, but Patriarch Lu Yuan and the others were even more nervous. Just as Lu Yin thought that the ancient god was definitely going to die, wisps of vitality surged out from his body. Then, like an old tree sprouting, vitality suddenly erupted and rushed into the starry sky. Everyone heaved a sigh of relief. It was a success. Patriarch Lu Yuan and the others gasped for breath. Only at this moment did they relax. Lu Yin stared at the surface of the ancient god's body. It wasn't the vitality that surged out from origin and decay. Instead, it came from the sovereign realm's battle force, just like how he had obtained vitality back then. Sovereign realm's battle force could transform into vitality. Lu Yin had forgotten that it had reappeared on the ancient god's body. If not for this, the ancient god would have definitely failed and his body would have turned into ashes. Fortunately, in the universe, the ancient god opened his eyes and ignited his vitality with the sovereign realm's battle force. When combined with origin and decay in his body, it could make the vitality endless and become the most crucial key to stepping into eternal life. Now that the vitality had been formed, the next step was to comprehend the laws of the universe. The eternal realm was a threshold, and how far one could go depended on the ancient god's own understanding of the universe. Simply put, it was the realm. There were two realms when breaking through to the eternal realm. One allowed a creature to step into the eternal realm. In other words, the realm was no longer an obstacle to stepping into the eternal realm. The second was how high and far a creature could go in the future. The deeper their understanding of the universe, the wider their future path would be. Even if one stepped into the eternal realm by rebooting the universe, it wasn't impossible to reach the same height as those who broke through to the eternal realm on their own. Although it was more difficult and the possibility was extremely slim. This was the possibility that Startle Gate Shangyu had fused with Mystic Gate Shangyu and Xiuling Shangyu had reached their current combat strength. In fact, almost all creatures who were compatible with two laws of the universe broke through to the eternal realm on their own. Once they broke through, they stood at the peak of one law of the universe. Being able to break through like this proved that they were extremely talented. However, there were no absolutes in the universe. Lu Yin didn't believe that all Xianling broke through to the eternal realm on their own. Those fishing civilizations had so many eternal realm experts because many of them relied on absolute means. The ancient god's greatest advantage was that he had experienced too much. His life couldn't be said to be brilliant, but it was definitely full of twists and turns. He had experienced a past that ordinary people couldn't imagine. It had been about 1,500 years since Jiang Feng broke through to the eternal realm. The ancient god became the next existence in the Tian Yuan universe to break through to the eternal realm. Patriarch Lu Yuan and the others laughed and chatted with each other. Lu Yin retracted his gaze and looked at Patriarch Lu Yuan and the others. Patriarch, the ancient god's breakthrough has helped many people obtain the key to the eternal realm. Breaking through to the eternal realm will be more certain. Battle Qi? Patriarch Lu Yuan asked. Lu Yin nodded. If he could tell, so could Patriarch Lu Yuan and the others. Chu Yi shook his head. It's not that simple. Firstly, it's extremely difficult to cultivate battle chi to the same level as Yu and De Chang. Battle chi isn't a realm. It can't be cultivated step by step. It requires incomparable tenacity and perseverance. It also requires integrity and integrity. To a certain extent, battle chi is more difficult to cultivate than realms. If 2 out of 10 people can cultivate to the primordial realm, then there might only be one person who can cultivate battle chi to the sovereign realm. Secondly, even if one cultivates battle chi to this realm, it might not be able to transform into vitality. Xu Zi, do you still remember how you transformed back then? Of course, Lu Yin remembered. He had dared to attack the place where the eternal realm was located. He had offended his superiors with shocking boldness. Battle chi was boldness. It was a person's lofty aspirations. Without this lofty aspiration, how could one transform? The ancient god's lofty aspiration originated from his belief in the Tian Yuan universe. It originated from his true fearlessness of death. After breaking through, he naturally reached the sovereign realm. Although the ancient god was usually quiet, he was actually bolder than anyone else. People could lie, but strength couldn't. Whether a person could cultivate battle chi to the sovereign realm was not something that could be seen from the outside. It depended on the person's heart. This was similar to the internal aspect. No matter what, let's give it a try. With so many cultivators, there must be someone who can cultivate it. Even if it's just increasing one eternal realm, it's worth it, Hong Yen Mavis said. That was true. Chu Yi's gaze was complicated. Battle chi must be popularized. Let's hope more people succeed. Chapter 44:19. Half a year later, the ancient god walked out of the universe and welcomed everyone's gazes. His entire state had changed. He had become sharper and more oppressive. Jialan Zhilua praised, De Chang, the current you is the one I remember. Chui laughed. Congratulations, De Chang. You're the first one among us to break through to the eternal life realm, even earlier than Master. Patriarch Lu Yuan said disdainfully, but don't be too smug. We'll catch up soon. The ancient god said, I'm not the first. Everyone was shocked. Lu Yin looked at the ancient god, and the Grim Reaper and fate appeared in his mind. No one knows what happened to Chu Haizi and Nyo Nyo. One faked her death and disappeared, while the other disappeared directly. Judging by the time, they might have already reached the eternal life realm, the ancient god said. Chu Yi frowned. That might not be the case for Nyo Nyo. If she was at the eternal stage, she would have long been able to decide everything in the Tian Yuan universe. She wouldn't have allowed Grandmaster Grass to do as he pleased. With that said, he did not say anything else. Lu Yin didn't know where the Grim Reaper was, but fate had left them a backup plan that wasn't in the Tian Yuan universe. This wasn't the only factor that determined whether fate could break through to eternal life, because there was still an unknown keeper of balance in the Tian Yuan universe. The keeper of balance's existence was enough to make everyone apprehensive. It wasn't just one grass master. Let's go. Senior's breakthrough to immortality is a great fortune for the human race. It's time for us to announce this news to the world, Lu Yin said. He was in a good mood. Soon, the entire human civilization was in an uproar. The breakthrough of the ancient gods to eternal life brought great encouragement to the human civilization. After all, they had been attacked by the immortal plume, sealed by the Green Lotus Protector, and died for eternity. This had cast a shadow over many people's heads, but the breakthrough of the ancient god had diluted this shadow. Especially with the promotion of battle chi, countless people saw the hope of breaking through to the immortal realm. Transforming battle chi into life chi could be the key to breaking through to the immortal realm. After so many years, the human civilization had finally ushered in the opportunity to break through to the immortal realm. No matter how difficult this method was, it was better than having no hope. Suddenly, the entire human civilization was in an uproar as countless people searched for ways to cultivate battle chi. Compared to the excitement of the cultivators, Shang Yu and the others in the Blood Tower were much calmer. We have always believed that breaking through to the eternal life realm is limited by the era. If someone can break through in this era, there won't be a second person who can succeed. That's why there are so many geniuses sleeping in the Junior Imperial Tower. Now that I think about it, we were worrying too much. The most talented genius of the Nine Clouds universe was sleeping in the young Imperial building. The reason why he was sleeping was because someone was breaking through to the eternal life realm in the current era. For example, in this era, Master Ku Dang was the reason why the Xiaoyu Pavilion fell into a deep slumber. However, whether or not an era could break through to the eternal life realm at the same time did not depend on this point. The eternal life realm did not have the restrictions of an era. If there was a restriction, it was the method and path. To break through to immortality, one had to rely on oneself and luck. Neither could be missing. Blood Tower Shang Yu and the others were right. Luck was something that no one could say for sure. Perhaps someone in this generation had used up all their luck to break through to eternal life, causing others to be unable to succeed. Lu Yin had seen luck with his own eyes, and Qianshu was still in Mount Supreme, so he had no choice but to believe it. Senior Ancient God isn't considered someone from this era. His existence is much more ancient, and he's been around for a long time, Lu Yin explained. Jingmen Shangyu looked at the Ancient God. Congratulations. Mr. Mu laughed loudly. Ba Yu sized up the Ancient God in amazement. Although this person had just broken through, however, the pressure he brought her indicated that he was definitely not a weakling. The joy brought about by the Ancient God's breakthrough only subsided after more than half a month. At that moment, Lu Yin stepped onto the path of searching for civilizations. Over the years, ancestor Lu Yuan and the others had drawn the star chart and discovered civilizations. He needed to search for the mother tree and absorb the green dots if possible. He had once left the Heaven's Origin universe, but he had never thought that the three universes were actually so close to each other. The distance between the three universes was so unfathomable that a star chart could be drawn. Lu Yin did not know how big the black star chart was. A light drizzle fell from the gloomy sky, and thick dark clouds pressed down on the world, causing people's hearts to feel heavy. Thunder boomed from time to time, but this world seemed to have long since gotten used to it. Even if lightning struck down vertically and shattered a mountain peak, it did not cause much of a commotion. The mother tree was already riddled with holes, and there were huge traces of ropes binding it. In reality, ropes were indeed tied to the mother tree's trunk. There was not just one rope, but countless. On the other end of the rope was something that looked like a millstone. The millstone pulled the rope and slowly circled around the mother tree. A life form that called itself God had explained the mysteries of survival in this universe, causing the life forms of this universe to firmly believe in him. It was not laughable. At the very least, Lu Yin did not find it laughable. He could clearly see this universe, which was why he knew that God was deliberately toying with these life forms. But what if he could not see it clearly? For example, the core distance. Who would explain to them how the mind's distance worked? Perhaps the reasonable explanation that they knew was a joke or even a joke by some existence. Words and actions were laughable, but they were all based on a higher level. Perhaps they were just like these life forms, maintaining a laughable behavior. They thought that doing so would allow the universe to continue existing, but in reality, they could not see the truth of the universe. As he thought about this, the scene that he had seen after cutting down the immortal plume origin tree appeared in Lu Yin's mind. That incomparably huge mother tree that covered the entire sky, that flowing river, and many more things that he could not see clearly. He took a deep breath and stopped thinking about it. Right now, Luine was curious about what kind of life form this god was. If it could set up a universe, then it had to be at least at the peak of bitter adversity. He continued to investigate the entire universe. After a period of time, he teleported outside the universe, looked into the distance, and left. This universe could not be touched for the time being because that god was from the divine realm. Yes, the divine realm. It was a name that sounded as ridiculous as pushing a millstone. It was a fishing civilization. The divine realm was the only fishing civilization that the unknowns had told Luine about. With the three universes as the center, Luine had obtained all the information about this fishing civilization. He had thought that it would be a long time before he could come into contact with this civilization, but he had not expected it to be so soon. The law of laws was the absolute method of the fishing civilization in the divine realm. They believed that all things followed the laws of the universe, and even life forms that wanted to break through to the eternal realm had to conform to the laws of the universe. Then, was this a law? By extension, they had created an absolute method, a law of laws. Everything had to conform to the laws of the universe as a law, and they made laws within their own control. This was especially true within their bodies. After reaching the progenitor realm, they also had a power similar to that of the ancestral world. They made laws in their ancestral world so that the life forms in the ancestral world could maintain their own laws. This allowed the laws to continue to expand until they merged with the laws of the universe, achieving a different kind of eternal life. Then, they used the sphere thrown out to destroy the devoured universe to search for the coordinates of the three universes. Although Luine and the others reacted quickly and collected and destroyed the sphere, the distance of a square inch was too big for them to see everything. Now, 1,000 years had passed, and the sphere's sudden appearance told Luine that the technological fishing civilization was coming. That technological fishing civilization was used by Chi Su, and Chi Su could not teleport. It was already very good that she could find the technological fishing civilization outside the 1,000-year eternal life realm. He immediately returned to the Tianyuan universe and found the Limitless Empire. After years of research, the Limitless Empire already knew the purpose of the technological fishing civilization sphere. They want to connect these spheres to each other and draw a line that leads to the three universes. This was the Limitless Empire's reply. The Limitless Empire's emperor had changed again, and Luine had not seen many of them. Although the current emperor was extremely respectful to him, Luine did not have the time to interact with him. Since the technological fishing civilization wanted to use these spheres to draw a line that would lead them to the Limitless Empire, they could also use these spheres to draw a line that would lead them to the technological fishing civilization's current location. Thinking of this, he immediately took action and asked Lu Yuan to point out the location where the sphere had been discovered. Luine looked into the distance. Is it in that direction? He teleported away to gain the initiative. He kept teleporting, and not long after, Luine saw flickering lights in the distance. With his luster mirror technique, he could see clearly that it was a huge oval light that came from the technological fishing civilization. It had been 1,000 years, and it really was them. Luine did not go any closer. This technological fishing civilization could not detect the distance of 50 years of eternal life realm speed, or else they would have found the unknown portal long ago. The limit of their detection was a little more than 10 years of eternal life realm speed, and the range they could clearly detect was much shorter. Luine stared at the oval-shaped lights in the distance. One of the oval-shaped lights was much larger than any he had seen before. The oval-shaped lights that he had seen before were not even a tenth of the size of the one in front of him. This meant that the weapon driven by this oval light was larger than any Luine had seen before. Every fishing civilization had its own powerful side. It seemed that Luine had defeated this technological fishing civilization's weapon with his teleportation, but he had not completely seen through this civilization. Who knew what other weapons they had? If he did not want to test them, then he would let others test them, such as the celestial realm. The technological fishing civilization's current location was in a triangle with the celestial realm and the three universes. They could go to the celestial realm if they changed their direction, and it was even closer. It would take more than 600 years to reach the three universes, but only 400 years to reach the celestial realm. But how could he lure them to the celestial realm? 400 years was actually very far away from the eternal life realm, and the technological fishing civilization would not change the direction of the three universes easily. Luin thought about it and thought of a way, but he did not know if it would work. He first went to Xiang City and brought out the eternal life realm stone monster from there. Help me do something, and you will be free after it is done. The eternal life realm stone monster was excited. What is it? It wanted to be free, but in front of Luin, it could not escape or hide. There was nothing it could do. Of course, it also knew that what he was going to do was not simple, so it would listen first. Luin looked at the stone monster. Have you heard of the evil thief? The stone monster was puzzled. Evil thief. The evil thief who sells the coordinates of a universal civilization, Luin reminded. The stone monster suddenly understood. Yes, and there was an evil thief who targeted us before, but I killed him. Why? Did an evil thief find you? Don't worry, I will do it. Luin looked at it with a faint smile. I want you to be an evil thief and sell a coordinate to a civilization. The stone monster was vigilant. What civilization? A technological civilization. The stone monster stared at Luin. Technology. Luin nodded. A technological civilization, and the creatures there are not cultivators. Don't worry, it is very simple. The stone monster immediately refused. I'm not going. When it saw Luin's expression darken, it quickly softened its tone and tried to curry favor with him. Human powerhouse, I have some understanding of the core distance. If technology can become a civilization, and you care so much about it, then it must be a fishing civilization. A technological fishing civilization. Just thinking about it makes me panic. It is common knowledge in the square inch. Don't touch a technological fishing civilization. That is not simple. I don't want to go. Luin was puzzled. Why is that common knowledge? The stone monster grinned, not knowing what to say. It did not believe that Luin did not know. Of course, Luin knew, but he did not expect this stone monster to know too. It was obvious that this civilization only had one eternal life realm expert, but it actually knew a little about the square inch. This technological civilization often makes deals with evil thieves. You help me sell the coordinates to them, and I will let you go. Chapter 44:21. Why didn't this guy say that he was immoral for causing someone's child to fall into a latrine pit? Luin couldn't be bothered with this nonsense. The divine seal catalog appeared behind him, releasing a golden radiance. Streaks of triple firmament soared intent converged into a river that danced around the stone monster. The stone monster felt a chill run down its spine. You have two choices. Help me sell the coordinates or die of old age in Xiang City. Choose one. Lu Yin's tone was cold. The stone monster wanted to say something, but the Sword Dao River rushed towards it. It hurriedly said, I'll sell it, I'll sell it. Lu Yin was satisfied and retracted the Sword Dao River. Wouldn't it have been better if you had agreed earlier? What a waste of time. Let's go. Oh, and bring some of your own race. You'll look more professional. The stone monster had no choice but to choose a few of its own race. This was troublesome. If that technological fishing civilization attacked, it might not be able to escape. This human was cunning, but he was also exceptionally powerful. It hoped that he could save it. Lu Yin looked at the stone monster in a new light. You're really professional. These people were either one-eyed, lame, or fierce. They even carried axes. No matter how he looked at it, they were more professional than the one-eyed monster. The stone monster smiled bitterly. I've seen evil thieves before. They're despicable and shameless, and they like to make themselves look fierce. Otherwise, they wouldn't have the confidence to contact buyers. Lu Yin looked at it suspiciously. Why do I feel like you're an evil thief? Human powerhouse, you can't slander me like that. How can I be an evil thief? The stone monster cried out, and the others around it shrank back and bowed as sincerely as possible. Lu Yin's eyes narrowed. He had seen this stone monster's past, but all he had seen was its cultivation and when it had been captured by Che. Evil thieves. Of course, now was not the time to care about this. Think of a way to make them believe you. With that, Lu Yin teleported the stone monster and the others to a distance that was close to the technological fishing civilization's 10 years of eternal life before leaving. They couldn't get too close, as there was no way to explain their sudden appearance. They also couldn't get too far away, as they would have to wait a long time before they could contact them. This distance should be about right. The stone monster and its companions looked around. They knew that the technological fishing civilization was right in front of them, but they had no choice but to brace themselves and approach. At the same time, in the distance, a warning sound came from the huge oval light. Beep, alien life form detected. Beep, alien life form detected. Beep, this is so annoying. Turn off that beep for me. Yes, Your Highness. What happened? Foreign life form detected. Coordinates have appeared. Wasn't this location detected before? The foreign life form strength has been detected as an eternal life form. It should have a way to shield itself from detection, or a way to accelerate instantly and directly enter the detection range. Instant acceleration. Just like the creature that used us. So we found them. Activate absolute analysis. Activating absolute analysis. Analysis does not belong to human civilization. Strength, eternal life. Warning, the other party is an eternal life. Do you wish to activate wandering? Warning, eternal life is approaching. Do you wish to activate wandering? Of course not. I knew that you guys would fight whenever you encountered an eternal being. You didn't even communicate with them. No wonder the Empire suffered so many losses. Your Highness, according to the Empire's analysis and reporting regulations, we are not allowed to communicate with foreign creatures. Otherwise, we will kill them. Die or be enslaved. Many things can be solved with just a few words, but you chose the most troublesome one. Fine, do as you wish. Let's see what you want. Activate wandering immediately and prepare to release it at any time. At the same time, prepare to release the unconventional weapon, Crystal Fall. Crystal Fall activating, Crystal Fall activating. Your Highness, we're not in a hurry. We're still too far away. Let's wait until it gets closer before attacking. That way, it won't have any room to escape. Fine, I'll watch your performance. A lazy voice sounded out. Time continued to pass as Lu Yin quietly looked into the distance. 9 years had passed, and the stone golem was already very close to the technological fishing civilization. They would soon be able to communicate. Another few months passed, and the stone golem was still heading towards the fixed coordinates as usual. Suddenly, something that resembled a needle appeared in front of it, but much larger than a needle. It stabbed towards it. It attacked with a blast of power that squeezed the void, but one of the needles pierced through it and brushed past its body. The stone golem was shocked. What a sharp attack! It had originally planned to lead its own kind away, but it had never expected that a single probing attack would cause it to retreat. The technological fishing civilization was truly unfathomable. Luin stared at the needles. He had experienced such attacks more than once, but none had been as powerful as this one. And this was just a probing attack. Of course, these needles alone were not enough to threaten the stone golem. It could only be said that the power of the needles had allowed the stone golem to see the upper limit of this technological civilization's attack. The stone golem's decisive retreat was something that the technological civilization had not expected. The target has changed direction. Should we launch wandering? Your Highness, should we launch wandering? Are you sure this is eternal? Retreating without even fighting? That's too cowardly. It's not strange for any creature to be within the square inch distance. Some creatures have a higher probability of attaining eternal life than others due to their specialties. However, these creatures are often not as strong and courageous as those species that have a hard time attaining eternal life. Nonsense, I don't know. It's all recorded in the Empire's books. Tell me something useful. Yes, Your Highness. In such situations, our choice is to confirm the target's strength, track it, find the target's location, conquer it, and gather resources. Since the target's strength is unknown, I suggest we launch wandering. What else can you do besides wandering? Your Highness, wandering is the safest choice. There's no hurry. It can't run out of wandering's range anyway. Let's try launching the crystal drops again and see if we can test its strength. Yes, Your Highness. Soon after, the crystal drops were launched. Needles pierced through the starry sky and hit the stone golem like raindrops. The stone golem kept dodging and had no intention of fighting at all. The crystal drops were launched again and again, tearing countless traces in the dark and deep starry sky. Your Highness, the other party only cares about escaping and has no intention of fighting back. No matter how many crystal drops are launched, we can't test its strength. Therefore, I suggest we launch wandering. The price of using wandering is too high. I find it strange. It's an eternal life. How can it be beaten without fighting back? At this time, the stone golem's appearance appeared on the screen. Activate absolute analysis. Absolute analysis activating. Unable to perform absolute analysis. The other party is an eternal life. Activate absolute analysis of the king's ship. Absolute analysis of the king's ship is activating. Analyzing. Analyzing. Analysis complete. The screen showed the distribution of various materials, as well as the analysis of the stone golem's speed and dodging reaction. Your Highness, this kind of analysis doesn't mean much. The power of an eternal life is not something that can be detected through data. I know. Don't you think that these creatures look familiar? A little. We've never seen these creatures before, but what's this familiarity? Suddenly, they spoke at the same time. Evil thieves. Evil thieves. That's right, it's the evil thieves. I was wondering why they were so familiar. The Empire has dealt with evil thieves too many times. Those evil thieves all look fierce, but they are also cautious. Look at their movements. Even if they use eternal life as a cover, their habitual hiding method is no different from the evil thieves. Most people wouldn't be able to discover them, but we're too familiar with evil thieves. Your Highness, what do we do now? Communicate. Since they're evil thieves, there's no need to attack. Yes. In the distant starry sky, the stone golem looked back. Were they not attacking? Or were they preparing for a stronger attack? It wanted to talk, but now wasn't the time. Luin had said that he had made a deal with evil thieves, which proved that they could communicate. However, if they wanted to communicate, the other party would have to take the initiative. Otherwise, it would be useless. The human had asked it to think of a way to trade for the coordinates, so it could only take the old route. Liu Yin's guess was right. They had indeed been evil thieves, but they had stopped after the stone golem had broken through to eternal life. It cherished its life, and evil thieves were all desperados. 9 out of 10 would die at the hands of their trade partners, and only one would survive. It didn't want to take the risk, even if it was an eternal life. Besides, evil thieves couldn't satisfy the needs of an eternal life. If it begged, it would return to its civilization and focus on passing down its legacy and improving its strength. This was the true path. The strength of a civilization was the true path. Unless the individual's path was compatible with two universal laws, there was no sense of security. The moment it dodged the attack, it felt as if it had returned to its time as an evil thief. It had never thought that it would experience those wandering days again. "Your Highness, are you willing to communicate?" a voice asked. It naturally understood, even though they belonged to different civilizations. The stone golem stopped and looked back at the huge oval-shaped light. "Why are you attacking me for no reason? What's so strange about that? Your Highness has traversed the universe. Don't tell me you don't know the basics." The stone golem said in a low voice, "I won't argue with you. Killing you will increase my karmic restraints. Leave. May I ask if your Highness is an evil thief?" The stone golem was surprised. "How did you know?" Within the oval-shaped light, the Highness stared at the screen and slowly said, "We are willing to trade with evil thieves." "Your Highness, do you have the coordinates of a civilization?" The stone golem sized up the oval-shaped light. "A technological civilization. In the universe, it's rare to find a fishing civilization that uses technology. No wonder you want the coordinates of a civilization. You need resources. Your Highness, you must have avoided us because you saw that we belong to a technological civilization. Since you can see our purpose, your Highness should also know that evil thieves are the most popular group for technological civilizations." Of course, the stone golem knew that technological civilizations were the most eager to buy civilization coordinates in the universe. Resources limited the upper limit of technological civilizations, but resources could also push the upper limit of technological civilizations. Just like cultivation. It was the same for cultivators. The more resources there were, the stronger the technological civilization. Chapter 44:22. Many people had speculated that the evil thieves were guided by technological civilization from the very beginning. However, no one could prove this speculation as it was too old. Of course, I have the coordinates of the civilizations, and quite a lot of them. But what price can you offer? You all should understand that moving in eternal life isn't easy. Moreover, I've long stopped being an evil thief. This time, I just happened to pass by. The stone monster said. As long as Your Excellency can provide us with the coordinates of a civilization that satisfies us, Your Excellency will naturally be satisfied with the transaction. For example, turbid treasure. The rock monster was surprised. You have turbid treasures. Far away, Liu Yin, who had been staring at the stone golem all this time, couldn't hear their conversation, but he could see the stone golem's shock. What did this technological civilization say? We will destroy the Emu Meng Na Ta Hui Gua Huan Reef, the ominous hidden yellow umbrella. But the turbid treasures you possess might not be of any help to me. There is no absolute difference in strength between turbid treasures. Some turbid treasures are very strong, but they are of no use to you. Some turbid treasures are very weak and will shatter upon contact, but they are useful to you. The rock monster nodded. You're right. Alright, what civilization's coordinates do you want? Within the oval-shaped light, the Highness said, "Show it your human form." "Yes, your Highness." Soon, the stone monster saw the gigantic human form in the starry sky. "May I ask if you've seen such a creature before?" The stone monster replied, "Of course I have." Within the oval-shaped light, the Highness was overjoyed. "Sure enough, I found it. Your Highness, the location we have determined is definitely the location of this human civilization. This is something the Empire has already determined. The Empire hasn't confirmed the strength of that human civilization." I don't think so. Back when the technological civilization had been lured by the portal, they had destroyed the Bramble universe, devoured the universe, and participated in the war between the Seven Treasures Heavenly Toad and the Dark Apocalypse. Luin had taken action, but no accurate information had been sent back. Later on, Yulu had attacked the three universes and ambushed them outside the unknown portal, which had attracted the technological civilization's attention. They tried their best to send it into the sphere, but the sphere could only release signal coordinates for them to search for. It could not transmit the strength of the three universes back. So, until now, the technological civilization knew almost nothing about the strength of the human civilization. The only thing that was certain was that there was more than one immortal realm expert in the human civilization. That was why they had sent their king warships. King warships were larger than the warships that had participated in the war between the Seven Treasures Heavenly Toad and the Dark Apocalypse civilization. There were only a few of them in the entire civilization. Using a king warship to deal with the human civilization was a show of great importance. Even in the face of a fishing civilization, the king warship had the power to fight. This was their confidence. However, confidence was confidence. It would be better if they could know the strength of the target civilization in advance. "Don't tell me you're looking for this civilization." "If I'm not mistaken, they're a human civilization," the rock monster shouted. "That's right, we're looking for this civilization. Do you know anything about this civilization?" The rock monster replied, "I do, but I don't know much about it." "What do you mean?" "I don't dare to understand." "Are you saying that this civilization is very powerful?" The rock monster said, "Are you just going to ask like that?" "Understood." After a pause, a small sun-like sphere appeared in the royal ship and slowly moved toward the stone monster. The rock monster took it. "Turbid treasure. This is not a turbid treasure, but a weapon of our civilization, radiance. This is more important than anything else. This radiance can emit light that will scatter over a certain area, allowing you to see through that area." The rock monster said disdainfully, "It's not that useful. It's not enough to buy my information." Another thing flew out of the royal ship. It was also a sphere, but this sphere had no light. It seemed to be made of some kind of metal. "This is a portable crystal drop. It contains a crystal drop, which is enough to pose a threat to the eternal realm. With radiance, it's enough to buy information that you don't know much about." The rock monster looked at the sphere. "Is this the thing that attacked me just now?" "Yes, but it's smaller and harder to detect than before. It's more powerful." The rock monster knew when to stop. "Okay, I'll tell you. I don't know much about this human civilization. There are probably 7 or 8 eternal beings in it." Inside the royal ship, the prince was shocked. 7 or 8 eternal beings. The rock monster said, "Don't worry, this is not the most terrifying thing. There's a fishing civilization behind this human civilization. That fishing civilization is called Unknown. It uses a portal to destroy civilizations. It's an absolutely terrifying and invincible civilization. This is why I don't dare to understand this human civilization. My home is in the direction you're heading. Because of this human civilization, I can only move, so if you're looking for this human civilization, I advise you not to go." The royal ship was silent. Your Highness, that portal is the transmission method that has led us to attack several times. It doesn't belong to the human civilization, but another civilization. This, royal ship, start intelligence analysis. Intelligence analysis, intelligence analysis, intelligence analysis complete. According to the current eternal being, the results of the intelligence analysis are as follows. First, the human civilization cannot be provoked. Second, this eternal being was deliberately sent by the human civilization to threaten us to retreat. Which is more likely? It's impossible to be sure. That eternal being is not from the human civilization after all. Generally speaking, civilizations can't communicate with each other, and the human civilization can't accept an eternal being. So its words have a certain degree of credibility, but it can't prove that it didn't come from the human civilization to threaten us. The human civilization has that portal. It's not impossible to find us approaching at this moment. After a pause, he continued, Your Highness, send the intelligence back to the Empire and wait for the Empire's reply. The royal ship's analysis can only be used as a reference. Have you ever thought that maybe both possibilities are true? Your Highness, what do you mean? Eternal beings care about karma, but we don't. Do you think if we want to go to war, they will be willing? So the other party sent this eternal being as a threat, and the other party does have terrifying strength. Whether they really have the strength or not, we have to see. We spent 1,000 years to find them. We can't give up just like that. If the other party doesn't have such terrifying strength, we can take revenge for being used, and we can also obtain a huge amount of resources. Don't forget the real purpose of our search for the human civilization. It's for the portal. I understand. We spent so much effort to find it, of course, not for revenge. The portal teleportation method is what we want the most. Anyway, we won't die. What's there to be afraid of? What about the royal ship? The royal ship is not weak. Understood. The stone monster stared at the royal ship. Hey, about the human civilization. I've told you all the information. I have the coordinates of a civilization here. Do you want to buy it? Exchange it with turbid treasures. Oh. What civilization coordinates do you have? The coordinates of a civilization with 4 or 5 eternal beings. There's such a civilization around. The Royal Highness was surprised. Eternal beings were not so easy to be born. Generally speaking, it was rare to encounter a civilization with eternal beings. 4 or 5 of them. That was quite strong. Even if their civilization wanted to eat it, it would not be easy. But at the same time, it also meant that the resources were abundant. After all, to be able to give birth to so many eternal beings, it was definitely not something an ordinary universe could compare to. The stone monster laughed strangely. I knew you needed it. How about it? Do you want to trade? Of course. What ability does your turbid treasure have? It can sense the battle state. There's no limit to the distance. The stone monster was puzzled. What do you mean? Place the turbid treasure. With the turbid treasure as the center, if there are battle fluctuations within a certain range, whether it's space, time, or other things, it can be sensed in another turbid treasure far away. This way, you can know the intensity of the battle and determine whether to go or directly escape. The stone monster understood. It doesn't seem to be useful. You can put it at home and carry another with you. If there are changes at home, you can naturally sense it. What you said is useful. Did you just say there's no limit to the distance? Yes. Is it that exaggerated? Your civilization has already explored the entire range of the square inch. We haven't found the perception limit of this turbid treasure within the limit of our exploration, so I believe that you can't exceed that limit. The stone monster thought for a moment and seemed to hesitate. Sir. The coordinates of a civilization are useless to you. Do you plan on dealing with that civilization alone? Why don't you trade for a turbid treasure? Even if you can't use it, you can trade it with other creatures. The stone monster knew that it was time, and it was getting impatient. All right, I'll trade. Give me the turbid treasure. We also need to verify if the civilization you speak of is real. How? I'll bring you there. Sure. The stone monster sighed in relief. Its mission was complete. Its mission had been to bring this civilization to the coordinates that Luin had mentioned. Whatever happened there had nothing to do with it. As for the turbid treasure, it didn't care, it only wanted freedom. Next, the stone monster stared blankly at a smaller but incomparably large oval-shaped light that was slowly peeling off from the royal ship. What was this? Far away, Luin frowned. This oval-shaped light was the same as the one that had appeared when the civilization had participated in the war between the Seven Treasures Sky Toad and the Dark Apocalypse. Could it be? The turbid treasure has been handed over to the starship in front of you. You can lead the way. Once you confirm the civilization, the turbid treasure will belong to you. The stone monster looked at the royal ship. What about you? Are you very concerned about our whereabouts? The prince asked as he stared at the stone monster on the screen. The stone monster replied, It's not that I'm concerned, but the enemy has several Eternals. If you don't take action, how can this thing resist? You don't need to worry about that, the prince replied. It seems that this eternal life is really related to the human civilization. The human civilization hopes to lead us to the coordinates they gave to this eternal life. The Royal Highness replied. After that, he spoke faintly, but his voice was not transmitted out. Chapter 44-23. The Highness thought for a moment. Everything is just our guess. As long as we are not absolutely sure, we have to try. A civilization with 4 or 5 Eternals will strengthen us. One less starship is not a loss, and this Eternals must follow. If it really belongs to the human civilization, then the human civilization will have 1 less Eternals. It's not a loss. The stone monster did not know what to do now. In order not to arouse the suspicion of the technological civilization, it could only head towards the coordinates given by Luin. As long as Luin did not teleport, it would rather run away. But in the face of teleportation, there was nothing it could do. The starship and the stone monster left, and the huge royal ship continued to move forward towards the 3 universes. Lu Yin's expression was calm. It was not that easy to fool. He teleported in front of the stone monster and used its size to block the starship's detection. At this moment, the starship would not stare at the stone monster. It had been warned by the stone monster. What did you say? The stone monster repeated what it had said. I did everything according to what you taught me. I did not hide anything from the human civilization and even deliberately exaggerated their strength. But they are not afraid. Lu Yin's eyes flashed, and he teleported away. When he reappeared, he was not too far away from the royal ship. He guessed right. The technological civilization must have seen through the stone monster or guessed that it was related to the human civilization. They did not understand the strength of the human civilization, so let them see. Anyway, they already knew the coordinates, so there was no need to hide. Inside the royal ship, the alarm rang. Warning, unknown creature approaching. Warning, unknown creature approaching. Warning, what's going on? It's not in advance. Did they detect it? Is there a problem with the royal ship's detection? Your Highness, look. The Highness looked at the screen and saw a familiar figure. It was a human. They saw Luin. Warning, human appearing. Warning, human appearing. As expected, that Eternals were sent by the human civilization. Your Highness, what is this human doing? Launch wandering immediately, the Highness shouted decisively. Space stretched infinitely. The moment wandering launched, the entire universe rolled back and squeezed space. The infinite pull made distance into a dream. The stone monster was shocked. What the hell? The entire universe was collapsing like a curtain being thrown up by a giant. Near and far could no longer be recognized. The stone monster had never been so confused. It was as if the universe was no longer the universe. Was this the strongest attack of that technological civilization? With a boom, the starship that followed it exploded, unable to defend itself at all. The stone monster hurriedly brought its kin and rushed into the distance. Life energy surged out and then contracted, protecting itself with all its might. The eternal substance was continuously released, not stingy at all. All for the sake of surviving this attack. Right in front of the royal battleship, Luin released the tricolored godly force transformation from his heart. The heavens and earth split open once again, and the originally turbulent universe, with Luin as the center, was suddenly transformed into a three-colored divine power rainbow that soared into the sky. It transformed into a heaven-supporting pillar that forcefully nailed the twisting and pulling universe in place. This scene stunned the Royal Highness. All the creatures in the technological civilization were stunned. They had encountered something that could resist wandering, but not something that could pin him down. Wandering was pinned to the ground at this moment. What kind of power was this? Divine power cocoon slowly closing, wandering was split into two. He was still twisting, pulling, and tearing apart the void. However, because he was pinned down by the three-colored godly power, his power was immediately weakened. The rock monster heaved a sigh of relief and looked at the cocoon. A fear that came from the bottom of its heart made it want to leave. There was a monster there. Inside the royal battleship, the sirens made everyone go crazy. The royal battleship had never sounded such an intense alarm before. Your Highness, retreat, retreat, retreat. There was no need for them to do anything. The royal battleship automatically retreated as it felt an incomparably powerful and terrifying threat. The divine power cocoon cracked open, revealing Lu Yin's tricolored godly force transformation. The turbulent tricolored energy sea and surging divine power made the royal battleship feel as if it had fallen into an abyss. The royal battleship's defenses were extremely weak. Lu Yin stepped out of the blood sea, and the red light rippled as the tricolored lake spread out. He slowly raised his arm and aimed it at the royal battleship. Inside the royal battleship, the Royal Highness stared at the screen. The terrifying chill made it tremble. It met Lu Yin's gaze, and at this moment, Lu Yin had planted a seed of fear in its heart. It had never experienced such danger before. This was a royal battleship that even dared to fight against a fishing civilization. Just how strong was this human? Lu Yin's tricolored godly force transformation definitely could not threaten a true fishing civilization, but the Royal Highness' knowledge did not reach the level of a true fishing civilization. An entire technological civilization was a fishing civilization, not just a royal battleship. The rainbow of divine power pierced through the void and swept across, brushing past the royal battleship and shattering the starry sky. It caused the void around the royal battleship to crack infinitely, swallowing everything. The royal battleship wobbled through one crack after another. This time, they experienced the despair of facing a giant. Every step was dangerous, and the royal battleship constantly endured the cracks in the void. Crack, rush out, we must rush out. After an unknown period of time, perhaps an instant, or perhaps a long time, the surroundings finally calmed down. The royal battleship floated in the starry sky unscathed. Inside, the Royal Highness looked at the screen again, but Lu Yin had already left. Your Highness, are you all right, Your Highness? What can happen to this body? Why didn't he attack the royal battleship? Could it be a karmic restraint? The Royal Highness looked at the empty starry sky. A karmic restraint. It was possible, but the royal battleship analyzed that this human did not seem to be eternal. At this moment, the alarm in the royal battleship slowly stopped. They had experienced a life and death crisis. Your Highness, this is a warning from the human civilization. Let's retreat. The Royal Highness' tone was heavy. Perhaps the human civilization is as powerful as that eternal being said. There may also be a fishing civilization behind it. Yes. Submit the report to the Empire and ask them to analyze it. My suggestion is that if you want to fight, please send the Imperial battleship. Imperial battleship. Only the Imperial battleship can withstand the attack just now. On the other side, Luin deactivated his divine power transformation and returned to normal. This attack was enough to make the technological civilization wary. He did not attack the royal battleship, as there was no need to. Leaving it alive was the only way to warn the technological civilization. Furthermore, the creatures in the technological civilization would not die with the oval-shaped light. Those lights were probably just carriers, and there was no point in killing them. What he wanted was fear, and even fear. The next step was to see what the technological civilization would do. If they still wanted to find the human civilization, it meant that they had the strength to deal with him. The destructive power just now was compatible with the laws of the universe, and the fishing civilization should be able to deal with it. It was just a matter of whether it was worth it. However, this was the limit of what Luin could do. He hoped that the stone golem's coordinates would divert the technological civilization's attention and make them confront the divine realm head-on. Right, wandering had broken the oval-shaped light that followed the stone golem to the coordinates. Did that mean that the technological civilization could not find the divine realm? That would not do. Luin looked into the distance. Although the stone golem had been injured, it was not serious because he had restrained wandering in time. Since it was not serious, he would continue. Under Luin's pressure, the stone golem returned and found the royal battleship. The prince was confused when he saw the stone golem on the screen. This eternal should have been sent by the human civilization to threaten them into leaving, but they had not left just now. That human had then attacked and displayed his strength. In the end, the human civilization did not want to start a war. But why had the stone golem come here? Your Highness, could it be that this stone golem is not in cahoots with the human civilization? Listen to what it has to say. Far away from the royal battleship, the stone golem angrily rebuked wandering. Its injuries had been caused by wandering, and it had nothing to do with wandering's attack. Either this eternal really has nothing to do with the human civilization, which is why its anger was implicated for no reason, or the human civilization has other plans. Not only do they want to threaten us into leaving, but they also want to use us for something. I'm leaning towards the latter. Your Highness is wise, and I'm leaning towards the latter as well. The human civilization has used us many times, and if what this eternal says is true, then this method comes from the unknown behind the human civilization. This means that this method is used by the unknown to deal with other civilizations. That door is the fishing method, and they will not change it easily. We have already been targeted. Her Highness spoke in a low voice. They didn't attack us not because they couldn't, but because they didn't want to. Then what about this eternal? Ignore it. Regardless of whether it has anything to do with the human civilization, wait for the Empire's analysis report. Understood. The royal battleship did not reply, and the stone golem continued to curse, but it did not respond. Of course, it did not dare to attack. It had already faced wandering once, and it would be a lie if it attacked again. This was especially true when it had not even attacked Crystal Fall. Even further away, Luin looked at the royal battleship. It was probably waiting for something. This oval light was definitely not the entirety of the technological civilization. At most, it could only be considered an expedition force. They were probably waiting for the technological civilization's reply. Did this mean that the technological civilizations had a way to communicate with each other? Lu Yin's eyes lit up. Everyone knew how important a method of communication was. If this technological civilization really had a way to communicate with the speed of an eternal realm expert, then it would be extremely important. They could teleport, but there were times when it could be blocked. In comparison, a method to communicate with other civilizations was something that all civilizations wanted. It all depended on how long it would take for them to communicate with the technological civilization. Lu Yin waited patiently, but the stone golem did not leave. It had not given him its coordinates, so it could not leave.